I never really knew much. I just knew Jesus saved you. You just died for your sins. But I never really knew what that really meant.
It's like people, it's easy to kind of walk away because you're not really grounded in that personal experience and that personal relationship. The world just kind of snatches us. It's so easy.
It's just like it trips me out sometimes because I'm like, why am I thinking about this so much? Why am I thinking about when I was 5, when I was 6, when I was 7?
So have you figured that out? Are you still figuring it out?
I am slowly figuring it out because, like, you know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
What
yeah.
age did I fall off on? Because I grew up Christian. When did I start making mistakes that I knew that strayed away from?
Yeah, when we're your most vulnerable, the devil, just being straight up.
Exactly.
When did the devil get me? You
Right?
know, like
So-
that's really what we're talking about here. When was
Exactly.
the devil able to distract me?
Exactly. All that good stuff.
IE stuff.
Yeah,
Come at us.
It's, like, it's really a small, like, if you think about, like, IE, it's so small.
Well, every time I meet someone, they're like, "Oh, you know," and I'm like, "No, I don't. It depends what they say."
I'm like,
was it before Christ or after Christ that they told you they knew me?
if it's before Christ, then we
This
went
is so good because we don't talk about this.
No, it's
that had such an
hard.
effect on us.
Yes. I didn't want to be.
There was a huge disconnect from what was happening in the church and what was being said at the church
Yeah.
to your life.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. And like,
Thank you for the coffee, by the way.
Of
that was so
course.
sweet. I was like, oh, okay.
I am like on a Nook binge. Like,
where's it at?
It's right in front of like Home Depot. You know what I'm talking about? Like Home Depot area, right here in Rancho.
Yeah.
It's like Home Depot.
Like on Rochester?
Yeah, like near 85 degrees.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Is it new?
It's like across the street. Yeah, it's new.
Okay, well, shout out to Nook.
Right?
Coffee and
Sponsor me
Jesus.
already. I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm working on that.
Okay, let's try this again.
Okay.
Coffee and Jesus.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm super excited to honestly get to know you.
Yes.
I've met you, or I've met you. When was that? When I officially met you?
Is like because we bumped into each other at
Our church, yeah.
with our kids.
Yeah.
Like we were holding our boys. Like, wait, I think they're the same age.
Yeah. How old is he?
He's 2.
Yeah, then same age.
Yeah. So like
Such a trip.
We locked
Such a trip.
eyes. I was like, hi.
That's
We're both
crazy.
moms.
But when did we like officially like Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram. Yeah, because I think like I've known you like before through one of like my friends.
Yeah.
And so like I followed you for a while, and then I think I saw you a couple of times. You're always like in the front worship. I'm like, oh, I love that. And then we just bumped into each other. Like,
I love Water of Life worship. It's just like a vibe. Okay, I am gonna have to take this jacket off because Are you hot?
Oh, I'm cold.
What the heck is going on? Maybe it's because I was moving around, but I'm just gonna move it because then I can't think. I can't think when I'm hot.
Sometimes I get hot flashes.
Am I getting to that age?
Oh, I'm turning 30 this year.
Okay, we could just put this right here. Love you. All right. So let's get into it. But let's pray before we get into it. Okay. So, Father God, thank you, Lord. Thank you for this opportunity, this day. Father, I pray that your spirit is so present in this episode. Holy Spirit, come into this room and may our words just flow, Father, and may they have an impact on the listener. May Josie be able to share her testimony with complete peace and calmness and whatever it is that you want her to talk about, Father. I just pray that you give her the right words and you just let us know that you're here, Father. We love you and we thank you in advance for what you're doing. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So I like to start, and really, even people that I know well, like I just like starting from the very beginning.
Okay.
Because I think there's a genesis to everybody's stories and everybody's walk with Jesus. And so with that, where did you grow up, and did you grow up in the church? Were your parents not religious? Like what was your story like?
You know what? As far as like I can remember, I grew up in Fontana, but I was born in like Apple Valley area, Victorville.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I moved out to Fontana, I think around like 4 or 5. I like looking back, I think I was a little bit confused because we had started going to Water of Life because it was closer. but I'm Filipino. So I don't know if my mom was Catholic at that time, but we would drive all the way back to like Apple Valley, like on Wednesdays to do mass and stuff like that. So we did go to like a Catholic church. Um, and then we just transitioned like full on. My dad was Christian, and I don't know if my mom like just went because her friends were there. I wasn't really sure. It was so small, but I did remember
The Catholic church.
Yeah, the Catholic church.
Okay.
Because we'd go every Wednesday, and I was so small that I was like, okay, it was just so different from like Wednesdays we go to Catholic church, and then Sundays we go to like Water of Life. And that was
very drastic change.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, are we here? Like, do we just go here? Because like all of my like aunties were there and stuff. So I was like, oh, maybe it's for the potlucks or something. Like, I don't know. I was so confused.
Yeah, how old were you at this time?
I was like 4 or 5.
Sorry, I just had to check something. Okay, go ahead.
And I was like, okay. But then, like, I think we, like, just stopped going. So we usually just went for, like, if someone had, like, a birthday party. And then we full on went to Water of Life.
Wow. So you were pretty young going to Water of Life. You're in the OG days of that church.
OG. That's why I'm telling you. I was like, wow. It's, like, so different now. But, yeah. I remember back in the day, like, during that time at Water of Life, they'd serve like lemonades and like pastries. I love that. They don't do that in Water of Life.
Yeah,
was, like,
too many people.
Right? I was like, they had like the donuts, and I was always looking forward to that. But yeah, so we started going to Water of Life full on since like I was like 5, every Sunday, and it was cute. Like, you learn all the Sunday stories. And
so you did like kids ministry. You grew up in that?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really nice. Like, I loved it. I even did like vacation Bible school back in the day.
And now you're taking your kids.
Yeah, now I'm like adult leader for that. So it's crazy. It was fun, and I loved it. But I think the hard part about it was just like I would go. So I went to Water of Life for years, and I think it was up until like middle school. It's where like I kind of like went there just to see friends.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. When you're little, you're excited.
Yeah, the social aspect of it.
Yeah, exactly. When you're little and you're like in Water of Life, you do all of like the cool stuff, the crafts and stuff, and then you do learn about like Jesus and all of that, and I love that. But as soon as like I switched, then I started meeting friends. So I wasn't going there for Jesus. I was going there to see my friends.
Right.
On Sunday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's when like it started. You know what I mean? Where it's like I started, because I never really opened the Bible. I'll say that. I knew I was growing up in a Christian household. My dad's super Christian. My mom as well. But I think I wish that like I had like a Bible at that time to open and know more, because I was just going based off what I was learning at church once a week.
Yeah.
And
that's not enough.
That's not enough.
You didn't have like your personal study time or relationship with him.
No, not at all. And they were like the good stories with like Noah's Ark, Moses. I used to watch like those movies. The cartoons. I love those movies. Still watch it till this day, but I never really knew much. Yeah. I just knew Jesus saved you. Jesus died for your sins. Like, just the basics, But I never really knew what that really meant. Like, I never really understood that part. And now, in today's age, I'm kind of reflecting on how I was when I was younger.
Yeah. I think that's something that's happening a lot, and why people fall away from the faith or Jesus is because even at like older ages, like our age, because not that we're like old, I just want to throw that out.
I feel like we're old.
So young. Anyways, because people are kind of just getting fed, and this is no shade at any church, but that's just the American church. Majority is just, we're kind of fed a little bit here and there, but we don't really push enough to our kids, like, get your own study time. Like, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean that Jesus died on the cross? So it's like people, it's easy to kind of walk away because you're not really grounded in that personal experience and that personal relationship, where it's kind of just, it's kind of mundane, and then the friend things comes along, and then the social aspect, and then we're kind of just the world just kind of snatches us. Exactly. It's so easy because we're not rooted.
Exactly. And it was just so, like, I think it's just crazy because I think now that I have, like, kids of my own, for some reason, and it's been happening as of late, I've been, like, looking back on how I grew up.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, it trips me out sometimes because I'm like, why am I thinking about this so much? Why am I thinking about when I was 5, when I was 6, when I was 7? Like, why are those memories all of a sudden popping up now? Yeah. Now that I'm 29 years old, why am I thinking about when I was little? You know?
So have you figured that out? Are you still figuring it out?
I'm slowly figuring it out because, like, I think a lot has to do with because now I have a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it was different when they're, you know, with your 2-year-old, 3-year-olds, but once they hit like the 2-hand mark, it's kind of like, dang. So what happened? Then you kind of start thinking, like, what happened to me? You know,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
100%.
What age did I fall off on?
Yeah.
You know I mean? Like it's like a puzzle piece that's missing because I grew up Christian. The seed was planted when I was like little. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So when did it stop getting watered? When did I decide, oh, I don't want it anymore? You know? When did I start making mistakes that I knew that strayed away from?
Yeah, when were you most vulnerable? Like when did the devil, just being straight up, when did the devil get me? You know, like so, that's really what we're talking about here. When was the devil able to distract me?
Exactly.
Not get me because you were okay. Well, were you saved at you were young? Would you consider yourself saved, or?
I don't. That's the thing. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, like, no. This is good to think about, and even if we don't have the answers right now, because especially we have kids and how. We need to know how to lead them, and we had to be known how we weren't led or how we were led because we had a little bit of both.
Because at the end of the day, it had nothing to do with my parents.
Right. Or the church.
Exactly. Or the church. It had everything to do with me. So me trying to figure out what happened. Like, why did I start getting into ruckus? Why did I start feeling like, oh, like I don't need Jesus anymore, or this is kind of boring. You know what I mean?
So, because middle school is happening, and that's when you kind of were just going to go see your friends?
Exactly.
Yeah, because I feel like middle school is such a pivotal
like you're
time.
Trying to find who you want to hang out with.
Yeah, because then now like you're liking the opposite, the opposite sex. Yeah, you're having like crushes. You're having like the groups of popular groups. This group, that group. Where do you fit in? Where are you liked? Where are you not? What am I gonna wear? What do I don't want to wear? My mom tells me all the time, like that time frame, like you completely change, and I believe it because the world is like. That's like
where it is.
So much pressure.
Exactly. They think high school. No, I think it's middle school.
No. It's middle school. That is where, and I feel like even more now. Yeah. Like if it was bad then, I think it's even worse now.
Exactly that. Because I'm like, dang. Like,
so what kind of ruckus did you get into?
So I feel like, okay, you know, I had a good like first, like kindergarten to 5th grade. I was a kid. I always went home. I still like loved like watching TV and all of that. But I think once, you know, like we just said right now, once I hit 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, mostly 6th grade, I was in like I saw a whole new group of girls who were like the popular girls. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, well, I want to be in like that group of popular girls. Yeah. So what can I do to change myself to fit in there? You know? And, you know, again, with, like, middle school, there's different schools going into that school. So it's like, it's not the people I grew up with in elementary.
It's the other elementary schools.
It's other elementary schools and girls I've never, like, met before. So I'm like, oh, they're cool. So I'm going to leave, like, my other friends because I don't think they're that cool. Yeah, you know, at that time.
Yeah.
And, you know...
That's literally our thought process.
And it's so sad.
It's sad, but that's literally our thought process. Yeah.
It made, like, me thinking back, now I'm like, man, like, why did I think like that? Why did I do that? And, you know, and I had really good friends, like, in elementary that I was just like, oh, you guys are not cool.
Yeah.
They're not cool
I can literally think of certain people, and I thought about this not too long ago because I passed by where she used to live, and I'm like, wow, like, they were such a good family. I think they were probably even Christian now that I think about it. But I remember once I went to middle school, I remember thinking like, oh, no, she's in band, or I don't know.
Oh yeah, you see, like it's just like,
it's
like
so sad.
and,
I'm telling on myself, but it is what it is. But it's important to reflect. What middle school did you go to?
I went to two different ones. The first one is how like I knew people from like other schools. Like, so the first one I went to Heritage, 6th grade.
Okay.
And then I moved, and so I transferred to Wayne Rubel, 7th and 8th grade.
Okay, so Heritage is how you know people from Etowanda and Rancho?
Exactly. And then I moved to Wayne Rubel, and then that's how I started knowing Fohi people, AB Miller people, and all that good stuff.
IE stuff.
Yeah,
come at us.
Like, it's really a small, like, if you think about, like, IE, it's so small.
And it gets smaller by the day, girl. Every time I meet someone, they're like, oh, you know? And I'm like, no, I don't. It depends what they say.
I'm like...
Was it before Christ or after Christ that they told you they knew me?
If it's before Christ, I
do not know. That is the wrong Ashley.
That is not me.
Do you see her around? No, not me.
Girl, that is me.
Oh my god.
I'm like, no, I don't know her.
No, for real. Okay, so
like, no way.
So you started to hang out with the popular kids, and with that comes a lot of
pressure.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure. And, you know, it kind of made me sad because, like, again, you know, the popular kids, I think at that time was like, you know, Abercrombie,
Hollister.
Girl, I got a Filipino mom. I got all like the fake stuff.
Same. I got the clearance rack, and that's it at Target.
No, I literally had Abercrombie, but it was fake. And I was hoping no one noticed it.
Did anybody ever notice?
Only my one friend, but it's okay. I told her. I was just like, don't say anything. I was like, it's fake. I think the moose was like reversed or something.
Oh my god!
The moose was like on right.
But I had like one Hollister Abercrombie like jacket that I wore to the end as long as I could, because it was the only thing I had. Because my mom was like, she'd go in there, smell the cologne, and she's like, I can't even be in here. But
also
the price. Oh. It's like one little tank top was like $40.
Yeah. And you know me, I'm like over here telling my mom, like, Mom, like, you know, like all my friends, they're wearing that, and
this is so good because we don't talk about this.
No,
that had such an effect on us.
Yes. And I asked her, I was like, Mom, like all these girls are wearing it. Like, can you please, you know, and can you get me something? Girl, when she saw the price, she looked at me like I was crazy, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Well, can I get one shirt? I can wear this all week. I'm like, I don't think they'll notice. I'll be an outfit repeater.
Yeah.
And
I don't think they'll notice.
Like,
it has a moose on there. That's all I need.
I know. I was like, I just need the moose, Mom. I just need the moose. But it was cute because, like, now, like, looking back, like, she tried. So she didn't get me the real one.
That's honestly...
But she got me something.
As you're saying that, I'm like, dude, as a mom now, think about that. Yes. Like, your kid is asking for Abercrombie and Fitch. Is like, I can't afford that, but let me go try and find something.
Yeah.
Why am I getting emotional?
She did.
Ew, it's not even 5 minutes in.
I know, it makes me want to cry. My mom is such a wonderful
That's so
woman.
sweet.
Yeah, and it makes me like, man, Mom, like she always told me growing up, when you have kids, you'll understand.
Yep.
When you, like, because I never understood. I was like, what you mean?
Yeah. I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like, when you have kids, that's the one, every time. When you have kids, you'll understand.
She wasn't lying, huh?
She was not lying.
Not lying.
But she came through, you know what I mean? So it's like, she had, like, all these, like, she had the pants, and, you know, yes, they were fake, but now it's like, when I was that kid, I was just like, oh, man, like, people are going to notice. And now I see that she tried, you know, like looking back behind closed doors and seeing as a parent right now, it's like you do what you need to do for your kids. Even if you can't do it, you still make a way.
You somehow make a way.
Yeah, you make a way. And I wore it. No one noticed. I think only my one friend noticed. She was just like, is the moose backwards? I was like, oh. Nope.
No, it's not. Mind your business.
I know. I was like, shh, it's not backwards. Don't let anyone know.
That's so
She was like, oh, okay. But, you know, again, I was trying to fit in. I was like, okay, all the girls are wearing this. I got to wear this. It was like, it really changed me because all I started focusing on was, I want people to like me.
You were focusing on yourself.
On myself.
Which
I
Satan
wanted these
wants
girls
us to do.
to like me.
Yeah.
I wanted to have all these friends. I wanted that. And it's like, seeing that, you know, I was just like, what, 11, 12? How old were you in 6th grade?
Yeah,
like
11, 12.
I was just a little girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was so focused on going home and spending going through my stuff, trying to see, okay, so how do I look pretty? How do I do this? Like, you know, because like the girls like I didn't hang out with at that time, I thought they were beautiful. So I was like, oh, I want to be like that. I want to be beautiful. They got all the attention from the boy. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, I want that too. You know what I mean? And they were really good friends too. It's not that they were mean girls or anything, but they were beautiful, popular girls.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be in that crowd. And it kind of made me sad because I did see some of my old friends from elementary and I just cut them off. Like, I didn't even know them because they just weren't cool enough to sit at our table.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a real thing. That girl's face keeps popping up in my head. Like, I really did do that to someone. It's just so crazy. Like, what deception can do and eat, like, our mind and our selfishness. And
exactly.
But it's like, what's behind that? Like, what's behind us wanting to fit in? Because not everybody cared, right? Yeah. There was a lot of people in our schools that were super happy being the weird, like, kids that no one noticed, right? But, like, what was it, do you think that... Because I was right there with you. Like, I 100% wanted to. And I didn't really eventually... Like, I was that girl that would hang out with the popular kids. I can kind of jump around groups and, like, I could, like, kind of mold. But there was this... I had my solid group. And we were, like, tier 3 of the popularity. Like, there was, like, that squad, like, they're in the middle of the quad, you know, with... basketball and skater dudes, and then
that's so true. Yeah, there's different.
There's tiers. It's sad and it's disgusting and it's so annoying, but that's a reality. So I was like tier 3. Shout out to the gang, but it's like why? Like what do you think that is?
You know what? Like now that I think about it, I think for me it's just I think I just wanted to be enough. You know, I wanted to be enough. I wanted to feel seen.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like everyone saw them, but I was still a little bit like behind them, you know? So then I made it like my 6th grade life mission.
Yeah, middle school mission.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this whole thing. But then it really didn't matter in 6th grade because we moved.
Yeah.
So we moved, we still lived in Fontana, but we lived like North Fontana. Like we moved up that way more instead of like Heritage Baseline area. We lived in like Summit area.
Yeah.
And then I went to Rain Rubel, and girl, I was terrified. I was like, I have no idea. I have to make brand new friends.
Dude, I can like feel the middle school pressure right now in my body.
I was so
That's a whole thing.
Scared. I was so terrified. I was like, I don't know anybody. Mm-hmm. All of my friends, you know, and then, you know, I had like I love her. She's still my best friend right now. And I had like my 6th grade best friend who kind of like helped me get all the friends that I got in 6th grade. Because she was the first popular girl to talk to me. You know, and that's how I got wheeled in to wanting to be popular. It's always that one popular girl. It's like the movies. It's like that one popular girl talks to you.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't like a Regina George moment.
Not Regina George.
Not Regina George. No, she's such a beautiful soul. But she talked to me and she wheeled me into like being friends with all her friends and stuff. And I thought so much of them. And they're amazing. They're amazing women. Now I still follow them on Instagram and stuff. So it's kind of cool to see my old 6th grade squad doing well. But when I told her that I was going to like do a different school 7th grade, I was so sad because like I felt like, oh, I'm not going to have friends. Like I'm just not going to have friends. And even though she said, oh, I'm still going to be your friend, come on, let's be real. You're going to be at this middle school. And I'm going to be at this middle school. And, you know, at that time, it's hard.
Social media wasn't the way it was either.
Oh, yeah.
We had MySpace.
MySpace. But that was
like...
come home and, like, check if we had messages.
Yeah.
Like the anxiety of sending someone a message and then being in school all day and then coming back home and wondering if they responded.
Low key, those were the simpler days. We didn't know it, but man,
I loved it so much.
I loved coding my layout.
Or like, I don't. Do you remember this? It's like my nieces and my nephews look at me like I'm crazy now, but I told them it's like, oh, we didn't have unlimited talking. It was free after 9 o'clock.
Until after 9, like call me after 9. Yeah, because if not, then I'm gonna get in trouble.
Oh, my mom would get so mad.
Oh, there was limited text?
Yes, because we're not text and like phone calls. Like, if you go over,
it was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money. I got so in trouble all the time. I was like, oh, and especially if you don't have the same carrier.
Oh,
it was so bad. I did not.
Y'all don't know how rough we had it.
We had it so rough.
Yeah, but then you could even, like, the cool thing was that you could add certain numbers to your plan, and that would be unlimited. So I would have my little boyfriend at the time.
Or, like, we had like the house line. You grab all the phones to make sure
no one's listening. Because all of a sudden, like, you're on the phone, and then you hear, like, background music, and it's just, like, or, like, noise, and you're like, hold on. Go downstairs. You're like, who is on the phone right now?
Get off the phone.
Oh my goodness.
Don't listen.
Or if you wanted to use the internet, you couldn't be on the phone.
Oh yeah.
Because you would hear the dial up.
Oh my gosh, the dial up was terrible.
We're getting triggered. We're all like, oh my gosh.
Oh, that was so. But
those were good times though.
They were so good times. But I was always like sad because again, at that time I was like, well, we're never gonna really talk.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like, we're only 12 years old. When am I ever going to even see you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to drive to your house? No. It's like, she's just like down the street. Now I think of it. But, when we're little, you think that's like a whole world away.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was like so sad and I was so scared. Like, I just remember being so scared. Like, well, what do they wear? You know what I mean? Like, I know what they wear here.
I just got my fits.
I just got my Abercrombie. Like, what if they don't even wear that at that school? And they don't.
They don't?
No, they don't. They didn't wear Abercrombie.
Really? That was like a rancho like area slash Montana.
So. You know what? I think so.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because probably people from like San Bernardino, they're like, Abercrombie? What? Why would you want to wear that?
I think my thing is because I wanted to fit in all the time.
Yeah.
I always changed myself. I always changed myself. And do not laugh, but when I went to White Rubble, I changed into a chola. I would put the rubber bands on my jeans. I took out the...
Wait, the jeans? What do you do? What do you mean?
Oh, man.
That's how much... Okay, hold on.
I put the rubber bands on my jeans and I would scrunch it up with my Adidas.
Okay. And
I put like shoelaces in my hair.
Stop.
I swear. So how do you go for Abercrombie?
Wow. No, this is big. This is like, that really goes to show like what we do.
Yeah.
To try to fit in.
I did. I changed and oh my gosh. My friend.
You probably were a cute chola though.
I really was. They call me Chinita.
Chinita,
like,
yeah.
I'm not, but okay, I like that name. I am gonna go with it. You guys like that? All right. I'm a Chinita.
Okay, you liked it? You'll accept me? All right, I like that.
I know. I was like, is that my nickname? All right, I'm gonna do it. I'm Chinita. But no, that's what happened because like one of the first girls, she talked to me and that's how she dressed. And she introduced me to all her friends in 7th grade, and that's how they all dress. And it's like, Josie, why? So, it's like I went through so many phases because I just wanted to fit in, and I wanted to be enough for people.
When did you meet your husband now?
Oh, I met him like freshman year.
Okay, so high school?
High school is a totally different. Oh, so basically 6th and 7th grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, trying to find myself and all of that. But I did stop the whole chola thing, and then I hung out with different other girls who didn't dress like that, went back to the skinny jeans and all of that. And then that's where I met like one of my bestest friends, still my best friend right now. And we went into like high school together. And so I wanted to be girly girl. I was like, okay, high school is going to be different. I'm going to meet brand new people from different schools.
All the middle schools coming together. Oh, my goodness.
Going into Summit. I am going to get the vibe for this, you know, like I'm going to, this time is going to be different. I don't want anyone to tell me. I don't want anyone to make me who I don't want to be. I want to be who I want to be. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, I just burped. Okay. Going in freshman year, I was like, I knew I wanted to be so girly. Super girly girl. That's when like the bags were in instead of the backpacks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Holding all that stuff.
Breaking your shoulder.
Yes.
With the red mark.
The red mark. Oh my gosh. Sometimes it snapped. You're like, oh man, my books didn't like fit in there. But I was genuinely excited. And once I also, you know, going back 7th and 8th grade, I did have my first boyfriend. And I thought I was the coolest girl in the world. You know what I mean? I thought, this is great. This is great.
This is life.
This is perfect. I was like, all right. But he was a really bad boy. He was so bad. I think he even got expelled from school.
That happened to my first boyfriend too.
Yeah, I felt like my life was over. I was like, no, I'm never gonna see him again.
Dude, why do we have the same story?
Yeah, like
literally happened with me.
And I'm like looking back, like, dang. I was like, I literally thought my life was over because he got expelled. Like, I kid you not, I think I cried that whole week. I swear, like my eyes
calling their house phone. Are you okay?
Yeah, like why did you do this? Can I talk to him? Yeah, and all of that. But he ended up, man. I remember the summer before high school. He was just too bad. Like there was just like, you know when you know where it's like, dang, like I don't even know if I can keep up with like how he is like as a person and the things like he did, you know? So I just couldn't. I knew I was like, you know what? Like I don't think this is what I want. Yeah. And I had that in my mindset. Going into high school, I already had a mindset like, okay, I want to be who I want to be. I want to date who I want to date. And I don't want a bad boy because I had that for like 2 years. Yeah. So I already went into like high school already with that mindset. Like I was like, okay, like it's going to be better. I could change everything about myself. Fresh start, super fresh start. And so I did. I went into freshman year. That's where like I met my husband. But I met him like probably like 3 months into high school. And it was like our mutual best friends who are like we're still best friends with now. Aww. And he was cutest, like he was kind of like dorky and stuff. So he changed everything for me. And I was like, I think it's crazy to say, but it was love at first sight for me. It really was. It was love at first sight. And my best friend at that time, she made me laugh all the time. She was just like, dang, that's like so different from like, you know, your ex. So she's like, she's like, dang, you switched it up. Yeah, like big time. And I'm just like, no, like he's like amazing. Like I'm so he's like, I thought he was the most handsomest guy ever. I was like, oh my gosh, like he's so cute. But then I was like, dang, here we go. So then what I wanted kind of switched up to, I thought I wanted to focus like who I was, but then now it became all about him. All about him. And that's when I felt like I wanted to be enough again. So I think I've struggled with being enough.
Yeah. So different idols. Yes, so if it was people, well, it seems like it was people all the time, just wanting 100%. To fill the worthiness part.
Exactly. I wanted to feel worthy. I wanted to not necessarily feel like loved. Yeah. But it was more so I wanted to feel like enough for somebody. Yeah. You know, because I don't know. It's not that I would say growing up, I wouldn't say like my parents didn't make me feel like enough, but I feel like I had big shoes to fill because I'm the baby of the family. I'm the baby of the family, and I think growing up, all I heard was, you better do this. You better do this. In order for you to succeed and be like enough, you got to do this. You got to do this. So I think that getting implemented in my mind ended up going towards everyone and everything that I did and who I hung out with. Right. And all of that. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like at such a young age, especially, like I always have to watch what I say to even my daughter because it takes effect very young. Yeah. You know what I mean? and you don't notice it.
So
but
true. Yeah.
You start doing things and you don't understand why. Like, why do I want to be enough? Why do I want to fit in? Why do I have to wear what I need to wear, change who I am in order to fit in with this group of people in order for me to feel like I'm enough?
Yeah. Like, there's a cause and effect. Exactly. So what are those causes? And most of the time it's words that were told to us. Of course, other outside factors like media and culture in general, but it's like 100%. Usually that's why therapists usually start with how is your relationship with your parents. You know, it usually starts there. And I don't think that our parents even hurt us intentionally a lot of the times. Because even with my son now, I say things. I'll be like, "Dude, you're like, you need to chill. You're doing too much." And it's just like, that too. And then I'm like, "Wow, like if he's older, how can those words affect him? Like, you're doing too much. Like, relax." Yeah. And it's like that can hurt him. Yeah, make him think like he needs to be smaller or something. You know. Mm-hmm. I agree. And it's hard because it goes back to what did like the people that I love tell me as when I was younger. You know, again, like I love like my mom and I love my dad, and they're very old school. They're old school Filipinos. You know, when they were talking about like Jesus and stuff, it was mostly all I learned really was obey your parents. Obey your parents. That's what it says, you know, in the Bible. Obey your parents, you know. And I'm like, dang, is that really all it says? Yeah. There has to be more. It's like, that really all Jesus keeps saying, you know, because that's all I got. Yeah. Was like, you know, obviously the 10 Commandments, but the main one my mom would always say is like, obey your parents. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, man, that's like, that's dang, all. Jesus. Yeah. You're talking about nothing else? There's so many things we could talk about. Yeah. And then I'm just like, all right, like, okay, I gotta, but I had, I guess, like, because I was a baby, and my mom started this towards me very young, like 10, 11, that I have to make sure I don't make the same mistakes as my siblings, you know, because I'm the baby, watch them and don't do that. Yeah. And that was so much pressure. And I'm like, okay, when I would get like a B, a B plus in school, go home, oh, I got a B. But why didn't you get an A? Yeah. They always made me nothing was enough. Yeah, exactly. I needed to strive to do better. Yeah. Don't settle on a B. You need a A. Or even if I got an A, why didn't you get an A plus? You know? Yeah. Like that super hardcore Asian household. Like, no. Not B, not an A. Needs to be an A plus. Or even like my mom would be like A plus plus. Well, I'm like, I don't even think that's real. Come on, moms. Moms, y'all be tripping sometimes. I love y'all, like, but making things up. For real, it's like it only goes up to 100%. I don't know. I was like, I don't know what you want me to do, but I think it's just started there. You know what I mean? And it just like now, like I said, like looking back, I'm over here thinking really hard. Like, why do I always wanted to be enough for people? But it's because I wanted to be enough in my household. Yeah. You know? Because I felt like I wasn't. My brothers, I felt like I'd like an only child because like my brothers, they left really early because they went to the military. And then my sister also left. So it was literally me in like this 2-story house with like 5 bedrooms and my parents. Yeah. That's what happened to me too. My brother left at a young age, so it was really just like me. Yeah. So all eyes are on you. Yes. And I'm like, man, like, okay, I have to do this. I have to make sure I don't do this. There was just like, I just had to prove myself that I am enough, but it was never enough. Right. And I felt like not only did I have to do that in my own household, but I did it with everything and everyone. And so when I started dating like my husband at the time, you know, I just felt like, okay, I want to be enough for him, you know, because I actually, you know, I fell in love with him really early. We were dating, you know, that back in the day, it's like you want to go out and then you're like in love with them. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I love you 3 days just after like dating, you know? And then nonstop notes and walking through or in between classes. Yeah. So holding hands. Like, I'm over here, like, I'm in love with this guy. I've only been with him for like a week. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, I want to be enough for him. I want to do everything.
And it was good. It was like we were together like all of high school and all of that stuff. And I felt like, but I felt very popular in high school, but not in like in a good way. You know what I mean? I felt like I changed my personality, and I feel like a lot of people thought I was mean. I really wasn't, but I did perceive that way. And
yeah, like mean girl face.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because like if I felt like someone liked him, I got mad.
Yeah. You're protecting.
I know. I'm saying he's mine.
Sure.
I'm just
I would have done the same thing, girl.
Thank you. But I'm sorry if anyone felt that way. I apologize. I was a kid. I did not know. But like I was a mean girl. Yeah. I did because I felt like, oh no, he's mine.
Yeah.
I don't want no one looking at him. I don't want no girl. If I hear someone even like likes him or thinks he's cute, I went berserk.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't
What does that mean? What did you do?
Sometimes like I felt so bad. There was this one time where like I had a girl in my class and she liked him, and like the door would lock after like a certain.
You stood on business, and
I was on door monitor. I closed the door so she could be late to class. Sorry. I was so upset.
Not the door monitor. Oops, sorry. It's too late.
It was so horrible, and me and him
gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do.
I'm monitor who like, everyone hurry up.
Hurry. Wait, no one's coming. No one's coming. We're good.
The door. Oh, I'm just like, someone's knocking. Oh, she's late. I'm just kidding. Oh my God.
Mark it.
Like, oh, my bad. But no, like, I just felt so bad because it's like, why? I was just so scared. I was so scared that what if this girl might be enough for him and he just forgets all about me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that. Right. I'm going to go ahead and step into it, and before someone steals my spot.
Yeah.
Yes, I was always trying to control things that sometimes were out of my hands to control, and it was just too much. And going into that, feeling like I needed to do all of this stuff on top of like filling in like my siblings' shoes, making sure I do good in school, on top of trying to make sure my relationship with like my husband at the time was good, trying to keep up with the different amount of groups of friends that I had in high school. It's hard to be friends with girls in high school too, because like we're all like trying
to figure life out.
Figure it out. And I had a lot of different like groups and like girlfriends in high school. Some of them I'm still friends with, some of them I'm not friends with anymore. And no matter what, like I feel like every relationship and every friendship that I had truly was a blessing. I did take every single thing out of everyone for the good, and I was blessed with different friendships in my life, even if I don't talk to them till this day. I still feel
first season they were there.
Oh, yeah, like for a season, that season they probably needed to be in my life at that time,
right?
And I love that, but I think when I don't know if it was sophomore year or junior year, girl, I had my first anxiety attack in front of at my house, in front of my parents.
Those anxiety attacks will do it. That's where it really begins.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's where everything turned around for me.
How old are you?
16.
Yeah.
16 years old. I wasn't even doing anything. I was literally sitting on my couch watching TV.
That's the worst.
Yeah. My mom was in the kitchen. I remember it clear as day. Mom was in the kitchen. I was in the living room watching the TV. And then I just felt like my hands got numb.
Yep. Oh, gosh.
It got numb. And I dropped the glass. So that's when my mom freaked out. And she was like, wait, what happened? And I told her, I was like, I can't feel my hands. And then I went to my legs. I was like, I can't feel my legs. And I was just like, what's happening? And I just started crying. And then my heart was pounding. And then they called 911. The ambulance came. We had no idea what was happening. Because again, like, my parents, they're very old school, so them to anxiety or anything like that, they don't know what that is. They don't believe in that stuff. They don't know that stuff is real.
Yeah,
they had no idea what was happening. They thought something crazy was happening to me.
Yeah.
And then the ambulance came. Everything was fine. My heart, everything was perfect. And they said, oh, I think you had an anxiety attack. And I was like, oh, what is that? I didn't even know what that was. I was like, what's that? And they're like, oh, it's just like, sometimes your body reacts when you're thinking about something. Or they ask what triggered it. And I was like, I don't know.
See,
I was watching TV.
Yeah. That's the crazy part is I dealt with anxiety attacks too. And a lot of the times was literally out of nowhere. But it's like because our body and like subconsciously we're thinking about so much and that our body's like shutting down.
Exactly. I think I was watching like Camp Rock at the time.
You were rocking out to the Jonas Brothers.
Exactly that. I was like, no.
And the anxiety has the audacity to intervene.
It was that song, man. I was like, I was like being like a Jonas Brothers. Like, no, I was like, I literally told him like, oh, I wasn't thinking about anything. I was like, I don't know.
Wow.
But of course, when they left and all of that, my mom got on me. She said, "What's wrong? What are you thinking about? Are you hiding something from me? Are you doing something you shouldn't be doing? Stuff like that." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not doing anything. I'm not thinking about anything. I don't know what's wrong with me."
I'm watching Camp Rock.
I was like, "I don't know. I'm not hiding anything from you." And she's like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "I'm positive."
Was she upset or was she more concerned?
I think both.
Yeah.
I think she was upset because she thinks that maybe I'm hiding something from her, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
And more like, okay, I've never dealt with this. She's never, I don't know if like any of my brothers or my sister, like I don't think so at all, because even when I had that, they were kind of like taken by surprise, like,
what the heck?
Yeah, I think I was like the only one who had an anxiety attack like that. Maybe they had anxiety, but like I don't think they had attacks.
Yeah.
And
did you have like more, or was it
girl? Yes.
Yeah.
I had frequent ones.
Oh gosh.
Frequent.
I hate those.
It was terrible. And I'm like, I got so sick of it. I got so tired of having these, like at first, so that was the first one. I didn't think I had another one, maybe like a year after. And I think I was like heading like junior, senior year. So that's when it happened back to back to back. I think my senior year was mostly back to back and towards the end of my senior year. And
did you feel like you were dying at some points, or was it like
I felt like my heart, I like sometimes like I felt like I needed, like I wish like my hand can grab my heart and I can throw it because it hurts so bad that I was like, I need to take out my heart. Like it's just it's already trying to come out and I want to take it out because it was just like beating so fast that it hurt. It physically hurt. And I think it got worse towards the end of senior year. So bad that, but it was mostly, I think it was because, like, my grandma at the time, like, she was like she's my everything, but she was already, like, dying, in her deathbed. And she lived in Hawaii at that time.
So when you first had your first anxiety attack, this was already happening with your grandma?
Oh, no.
So this is at the end of your senior year?
This is the end of, so I think when I had my first, I was like sophomore, junior year. And then towards the end of my senior year, my grandma, like, I wish that I was there, but I wasn't. My parents left to go be with her. So they flew to Hawaii. And they didn't want me to go only because it was, like, towards the end of my senior year. So it was like April, May, prom was happening. All that stuff was happening at that time. So they left, and then they kind of left me here with like my sister and stuff. And I just felt so alone. I did. It was really hard because I wanted to be there.
Yeah, so you have like that guilt.
100%. And, it kind of made me sad because, like, like my husband was there sometimes. But again, I felt like if you're not going through like a family member dying or something, I don't think, especially we are kids, no one understood. And not even my friends understood. But I think that's when, like, the depression started happening.
Yeah.
Because I've never felt so alone. I felt so alone. And it just hurt because of like, okay, at any moment, at any day, my grandma's going to pass away. Like, she's just going to pass away and I'm not there.
Yeah.
And I think that's when a lot of things started changing for me and my anxiety heightened. I would have to go through, like, I went through 2 anxiety attacks by myself. And I just felt so weak. Like, I just felt like lost and weak, and like I can't control it. And sometimes it made me lose my mind because I'm like, stop, like I don't just stop, because it hurt. It hurt me, and I'm alone, and no one's here to like calm me down. You know what I mean? And
did you ever call the ambulance again after that first time? It was just that first time.
No, it was just that first time. I felt like the other two times, like when I was like by myself, I was trying really hard to just like speak to myself, but it just got worse. And I just lay there and wait for it to disappear.
So you never once at this point called out to God or even thought about God, huh?
No, not at all. I didn't even think about him at all. At all. I was talking to myself, trying to calm myself down. But when my parents came back from Hawaii, my anxiety attacks just started getting worse. So literally I would have one every other week. And so they wanted me to go to the doctors and get it checked out because it was just too bad. It started getting really bad.
Started affecting your life.
Yeah, it did. And it sucked because I remember working like at a retail store during that time, and it would happen at work, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's embarrassing." I was truly embarrassed having anxiety attacks. It was so embarrassing. Like I'm over here folding clothes, and then you feel it. You know when it's happening.
You know when it's about to come. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It was so embarrassing that I would have to run to the back. I had my girl manager. She ran back there and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I was just like, and I would. The thing is, why I was so embarrassed is that I would sit down, shrill up like a little like cocoon, and I would like cover my ears and just like tell everyone just like leave me alone. And I would close my eyes and I would just do this the whole time, and they would just be so worried. I'm just like, just leave me alone. I just need a couple of minutes, you know, because I'm over here trying to control it. And I felt so embarrassed. I did that in front of my boss, like some of my friends. Like I felt so weird doing that, but I had to.
Yeah.
And so then I went to the doctors, and they diagnosed me with panic depression disorder. And they told me that they put me on medication, and then they put me into therapy. And then when I went into therapy, I was in therapy for like a good 6 months, but it didn't help me. I felt like they just kept pushing the medication, and then I felt like I was in group therapy, and then I switched to just one-on-ones because I felt like in the group therapy I felt bad because when I would hear everyone who was in there, they'd be like, "Oh, you know, my son passed away," or like their stories were so intense.
Like they had a reason, like a deep reason, and you're like, "Well, I shouldn't be feeling this."
Yeah, and I'm like, then what? What's wrong with me?
Yeah,
like, I don't belong here. I'm not even close to anyone's story. Right. And so I suggested, I was like, oh, I just want a one-on-one. And even when I had my one-on-one, not that she was like bad, but she got to the root of the problem about me again. Like, oh, I feel like you have so much pressure with your family because I already graduated high school. So she suggested, oh, maybe it's because you don't know what you want to do with your life, and your parents are forcing you to do something you don't want to do. So maybe the pressure is on you, but it's okay. Here's some medication. You should be fine. And I was like, okay. So obviously she's a doctor. I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm just gonna keep popping these.
Was it like Lexapro or like
Prozac?
So suppressants?
Yeah, it's like suppressants.
Wow.
But I didn't like. The thing is, it didn't help like take away the anxiety. It just didn't make me have crazy ones. And I didn't like it though because I felt like I did get more depressed. I did. Did
you feel like you got kind of numb?
I felt like sometimes, like when I would take it, I did get suicidal sometimes. Yeah. And it was scary, like thinking that, you know, and even like having like, you know, my husband like see me feel that way, that I don't want to be here. And I couldn't make it. I couldn't understand why I was feeling this way, you know, but I kept just taking those pills over and over again. I'm like, okay, my anxiety is not as bad. That's what matters. It's okay. I'm just in my head again, you know? And I felt like, okay, maybe she is right. Like, I don't know what I want to do. My parents, you know, typical they wanted me to be a nurse. I don't want to be a nurse. So I was like, I don't want to be a nurse, and I need to figure it out. So it was a lot of pressure. I was like trying to figure out, I need to do something or else they're going to be disappointed in me. If I don't do something right now, as like a 17, 18, or like 18-year-old, like I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail at everything. I'm not going to be enough. I'm not enough. And so then again, it started happening. Like, I am not enough. I can't finish school. I don't know if like I'm hurting my relationship with my parents because I'm not making them proud. And I should be doing something better than what my siblings are doing. I need to be the one to finish college. I need to be the one to get that degree. I need to be the one to be like the rich one out of like the four of us, you know? So I got to do this. I got to go to school. I got to keep going. And it was hard. At the same time, like I'm like, well, I'm not happy either. I'm trying really hard.
Yeah.
And then I stopped taking the pills because it did get worse. Like I just felt like I was always in my thoughts. So me saying that I'm not enough started heightening. And it started, like I said, it was suicidal when I was like, okay, well, I'm not enough. There's no point of, it would be better if I'm not here. So then I don't have to think about any of this stuff. Right. Like, I'm tired, you know, like I don't.
It's exhausting having anxiety.
Yeah. I was like, I'm tired. Like, I don't want to be here. I'm tired of being here, going through this. If I'm not even going to make it, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to finish school. My parents are going to be so not proud of me, you know? Oh, yeah. Gosh. And I just want to be here. I want to give up. And so that's when, like, all of the suicidal thoughts came, and I hated myself for that. But again, what sucked is that I still would go to church on Sundays, but it wouldn't click to me. Like, I'm there, like, my body is there, but my mind is somewhere else. So
this whole time you were going to church again?
I was still going to church.
When did you start? Did you ever stop going to church?
I stopped going to church when I turned 19.
But this whole time, middle school, high school, you're going to church?
Mm-hmm. I never stopped. I had to because my parents. Yeah, it was kind of the thing, like, you better go to church.
That's so, yes. Wow. Okay, and so you stopped at 19.
I stopped at 19, like 19, 20, I think, like, or maybe 20, because I kind of, like, stopped. So after me going through, like, my anxiety attacks, I think it was to the point because I was so scared of failing, like, my parents. Because during this time, I lived, like, with my sister. And my parents, like, were in and out from Vegas to here. So they technically lived in Vegas at the time, but they would still come over here to visit us. And so I just felt like it was bad because my sister saw, like, how bad my anxiety got. Like, I kid you not, I've had attacks where everything was black. Mm-hmm. And I felt like the floor was turning and I had to hold on. Like, my sister would watch me hold on to, like, her furniture, and she'd be like, what's wrong? What are you doing? And I was like, I'm falling. And I would tell her, like, no, like, I'm having an anxiety attack, but I'm falling. Like, the floor is moving. And she's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. And I'm like, no, it is. Like, and the thing is, when people try to calm me down, it just made it worse. Because
everything's okay. It's like, no, it's not. Like, in my head, it's literally doom right now, and it didn't help when people wouldn't say that.
And I'm like, and I didn't want to be touched. I just felt like the more people got near me, the more I would freak out.
Yeah,
you know? And when my sister started seeing that, she was just like, dude, this is really bad. Like, this is really. And so we would try to tell my parents how bad it is, but like I said, they don't believe in that stuff. They said it's all in your head, which, yes, it is all in your head, which is a bad thing. It is in my head, and it's hurting me. It's hurting me really bad.
Yeah.
But they're more so like, just, you're fine. You're fine.
Is that so? Okay. That's what led you to not go to church?
Yeah, because they always would tell me it's all in your head and you don't trust in Jesus. And I was like, well, maybe at this time, I'm like, Mary, don't trust me, because why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
And so I moved out, and I was like, you know, like, I stopped going 19, 20, and 21. I would only go to church when my parents were out here visiting. But when I would sit there, nothing would click to me. Nothing would click to me because I think I started getting into my mindset of, well, I know like a lot of people here don't do what they're saying they're doing, but they're worshiping and all of that. So then now I started seeing that. I started seeing like, I don't know, like I believe in God. I know he's real. But why, how come other, like I started questioning like, why do people come to church and then they do other things outside of church?
Yeah.
And so I just, not that I strayed away from him yet. I didn't yet. But it was just, I was always questioning myself because I knew I was lukewarm as well. I was like, I called myself a Christian.
Yeah.
If at that time, when I was that age, 19, 20, in my 20s, if you were to tell me, like, oh, what are you? I was like, oh, I'm Christian. You know, I have Christian values. I am to the right. You know, like, this is what I believe in. But the crazy thing is I knew nothing. I was the one where I knew of God, or like I knew of Jesus, but I don't have a relationship with him. I only know of him. Do I really have a relationship with him? No.
Yeah. So you were playing the part on the outside.
Yeah, 100%.
You could answer all the questions.
Especially when I turned 21, you know, clubbing time. I was that girl who clubbed on a Saturday, then go to church on a Sunday. Why did I do that? I don't know, but you know what?
That's the majority of our church.
Heck yeah, I give myself some grace though, because the fact that I came home like at 2 a.m. and go to church.
Come on, somebody. She said, hold on. Let's talk about grace, okay?
For real. I'm happy that I did. You know what? I'm not even complaining.
No,
like,
because
Lord.
Yeah, kept you there. The Lord is what kept you there. Even when you were wilding out, you still were holding on by a thread.
Yes. I never let go just yet. You know, like I was like, okay, like I know he's there. I know he's watching me. I know he saved me through a lot of things. But I felt like I started growing shame from 18 going up. I started getting ashamed of myself. And I think it was mostly towards like my anxiety. I felt so ashamed of my anxiety, like, ew, like I have anxiety attacks. Like this is not good. This is not good. Also because like again, the little things that like the people we love, like this they say, they kind of make you feel like, oh yeah, like I am weird. Why am I having anxiety? There's something wrong with me.
Right. And so then you start feeling even more unworthy of Jesus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like I started drinking, you know, I turned 21 and I started having fun with my friends. We'd go to Fullerton. We go all like those bars, those clubs. And, you know, me and my husband, like we'd all like drink and like just have fun on the weekends. And some weekends, yes, like I'd go out, drink, and then I'd go to church like the next day. But me being in church after a night out of just being sinful and, you know, being of the world and just listening to, you know, like Miss Big Booty and all of that stuff, like dancing to that type of music and twerking and all of that, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Dang, what am I doing here? So that's what I felt. I was like, oh, I shouldn't even be here. I shouldn't be here. I just got done, like literally
twerking
to Miss Big Boot. Miss, what do you remember? Song?
I found you, Miss Big Booty.
Oh gosh, those are classics.
Those are the classic. I'm sorry, Jay-Z.
They don't make music like that.
No, they really don't. I'm telling you, that era just like
it was different. But like
you play even the instrumental, you know, like you're just like, hey,
you know, you're just like having fun, and I'm like sitting there, and everyone's worshiping, and I'm like, I just got done twerking a couple hours ago.
You're like, hold on, oh no, that's the right time.
Yeah, like oh man, and I'm like. Oh, and I felt convicted.
You felt convicted instead of running to Jesus. You ran away.
I ran away. I super ran away. I was just like, oh no.
So you stopped going to church?
Yeah, like around like my 21 party season. I was like, no.
So 21 till what age did you come back to church?
23, no, maybe like 24, because so after I I felt that way. I was like, and not only that, I felt like more so like within like, you know, my household, like again, like I saw a lot of my mom and my dad, like they didn't really, like they taught me like to believe in Jesus, but it's like they planted the seed, yes, but they didn't really teach me of him other than, again, obey your parents. And I'm like, well, they're not really, like they say they're in like the word, but they're not teaching me the word. So then I should be fine. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. You know what I mean? They just said go to church every Sunday. That's it. Go to church every Sunday, obey your parents. Jesus saved you. Just died for our sins. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if me going, if I just skip out. So that's why I went to church when I did, even when I went out. But like I felt like, oh, maybe I'm not doing anything wrong. Maybe this is fine. So I was always in my head like, okay, I'm gonna be like partying one night and then I go back to church the next day and I'm like, okay, this is fine. I feel like, and I was in the mindset of, well, also he forgives. He's gonna forgive me for this. It's fine. Yeah. So I just kept doing it. I would go back and forth to partying and then go to church. It wasn't until I got pregnant for the first time, right? I got pregnant when I was like 23, and it was literally in the beginning of the year of 2017, and I it was just so weird to me because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be a mom.
Yeah.
And you know, and it was kind of different only because me and my husband were in like that party like club era, so but I always knew that he wanted to be a dad. You know, me, I never really thought I was gonna be a mom. I kind of saw it, but I didn't see it.
Was he Christian, or was he just more Christian?
Yeah, he's Christian. Well, his mom is Christian.
Okay.
But he was like me. Like we say we're Christians, but we were like lukewarm Christians.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when I told him that I got pregnant, I was like, oh yeah, I'm pregnant. This is my first. I was so excited because it's different. Like once you find out like you're pregnant, you're kind of like, oh snaps, like is this happening? And so we were so excited, but but I miscarried, and man, I felt like no one really talks about this, where miscarriages, that's a whole different ball game. You know what I mean? Like it's
how far along were you, if you don't mind me asking?
Like 8 weeks, 7, 8 weeks. I miscarried for the first time, and I was really like, it kind of sucked because I felt like when me and my husband were in like our party era, I felt like we were too, like we loved ourselves too much, that we didn't love each other. So when we found out we were pregnant, I felt like that love sparked us back. Like, we're going to be one again. We're going to be parents, like together.
You guys kind of drifted away from each other.
100%. And then we kind of came back, you know? We came back.
So that was part of the apart from losing your baby, it was another like.
But when I lost... So when the doctor told, because I started bleeding, and I was so scared, and we went to the ER right away, and they said it. They're like, oh, you're miscarrying, and they said, you know what, it's gonna be fine though, because you know this is what happens, and I was just so confused because I did start praying when I found out I was pregnant. I all of a sudden was like, oh, Jesus blessed me with like a baby. I'm like, this is so crazy.
Yeah.
Right? But when I miscarried, I was like, oh, like I didn't know how to feel, but I was crying. And then I felt like, okay, we kind of drifted again. There's no baby. So like me and him were like, okay, like we were still like together, but I felt like we went back to loving ourselves rather than loving each other again.
Yeah.
And when I got that whole like, oh, I want us to love each other again, that feeling, I wanted to get pregnant again.
Yeah.
So I did. I got pregnant 2 months after my miscarriage. And we, again, so excited. He was excited. I was excited. And I was like, oh, this is it. It's okay. Like, God is blessing me again because maybe the first time just wasn't it, right? And then I miscarried again. And girl.
Wow.
That miscarriage, I think, broke me. It happened. It's like it happened all over again. I bled a lot, and then when I went to the ER, I think the words of like the doctor like just gave me some hope because they said, oh, like it depends on your HCG levels or something. It's still high, so there's still a chance. And so I remember they wanted to wait to see if it got a little bit lower, so they kept me there for maybe like 4 or 5 hours. And I remember they're like laying there, and I said it loud. I said, Lord, please let me keep this one. I want this one, please. Like, I need this one.
Because it hadn't happened officially yet?
No, it hadn't. So he said I was bleeding, but my HCG levels were still high, and it wasn't like a lot of blood. And they haven't done the ultrasound yet. So they're like, okay, we're just going to wait just a little bit. And I just prayed. I remember praying. I said, Lord, please, like, I want this one. Don't. Like, I need this one. I said, I need this one. Please. Like, if you hear me, please, like, I'm begging you. If you're real, please. I'm begging you. I want this baby. Then the doctor came back, and then they did the ultrasound, and they said, well, we're so sorry. You're miscarrying. And when they they did they stick it in, I just saw so much blood that it was just so traumatizing. And when he told me, he was like, no, it has nothing to do with you. It's not your fault. But already in my mind, when he told me that, I'm not, like, I'm miscarrying, like, there's no baby, I was like, but I prayed. I called, and then I was just so angry. At that point, I was mad.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? Like, I did it. I prayed to you. I asked you, Yeah. And I was already thinking that in my head. So whatever, like, the doctor said, I just went through one ear out the other. Yeah,
you weren't even...
I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah.
But he just kept saying, oh, it's not your fault. It's not you. This has nothing to do with you. This just happens, And I was like, I don't know, And maybe, when he told me that, especially after I just prayed, I just felt like, why? Like, okay, so after I left, like, it hurt. And when you miscarry, like, you feel it. Like, you have to let it pass. And so not only
my gosh,
am I feeling this pain through my heart, but I physically have to feel it too. What kind of crap is this?
Yeah.
And so I was so mad. And at that time, I guess I said, oh, I don't believe in God anymore. I lost my faith. Like,
you said that at the hospital? Or just in that time period?
In that time.
Yeah.
Like, that thread that I was holding on to.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want it anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm done. Like, why? Like, why am I going to go through that? Why? I prayed to you, like, I asked you, please. Why? Like, why did you do this? So then I told myself, okay, forget it. Well, he's not real. I was so mad. I was like, well, I guess he's not real. Like,
so you really walked away from...
I walked away. I was so angry.
Yeah.
And that anger turned into heavy depression. That was it for me. That was like, I'm not enough. I'm not enough to have a baby. I'm not enough, especially like during that time. I don't know. Social media took a toll on me because a lot of it was like, oh, to be a woman, you need to bear children. Like it was getting to me. Like the enemy was getting to me. Like, oh yeah, you're not enough. Like you can't even have kids. Like why are you even here? Yeah. What's your purpose?
Yeah.
And it started growing. That thought grew. Like, if I thought I wasn't enough for the past couple of years, then I know right now I'm not enough.
That, confirmed everything in your head.
That was it. Like, I was done.
Yeah.
And I was so I fell into, like, not even, like, depression, but darkness. Darkness. I felt like I fell into, like, this dark pit, and it was just black. And my friendships died. I stopped talking to, like, all my friends during that time. Me and my husband, we grieved differently, so I didn't even want to talk to him. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to be alone. I didn't want to eat. I couldn't sleep. I was numb. I was numb. And I got mad when, like, my parents would tell me, oh, did you go to church? Like, why do you always want me to go to church? Like, I don't want to. Sometimes I'm working. Sometimes I'm busy. Or I would tell them that I'm working on the weekends. No, I didn't go to church. That's, like, it got to that point where I didn't want them to, like, be on me. So I'd be like, oh, I work. I work Saturdays and Sundays now. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Like, I can't go.
Just don't even ask me anymore.
Yeah. I was so mad. Like, every time I heard anyone tell me about, oh, like, it's not your fault, just pray. Like, even the word pray, like, it was just triggering. Yeah. Because that's what I did. Had no one knew that I prayed laying down in that bed, And a lot of those words were just so triggering to me. I'm like, no, I did. Like, you guys...
It doesn't work. Like,
it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was my thought at that time. Like, no, prayer doesn't work. Jesus isn't real. None of this is real. I don't even know why I'm here. Like, what is my purpose here? Because when you go to church, they say you have a purpose. You're here for a reason. What is my reason? I suck at school. I can't have kids. I'm going to fail my parents. My friendships and my relationship is failing. Everything is failing around me. I am so worthless right now. Wow. Why am I here?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be.
There was a huge disconnect from what was happening in the church and what was being said at the church to what your life.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. And again, it went back into my thoughts, like being suicidal. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm tired. I'm done. Because I've tried everything. I think even for a time, I started writing, like, letters. Oh, gosh. I started writing letters to people that I love. That if one day, like, I decide I don't want to be here anymore, that it wasn't them, you know? That they couldn't have done anything. It was me, for me.
Wow.
And the thing is, it's like, when you think those thoughts, you think like, well, people love you. There's people who love you here. Why would you think that? I know that. But it's like, it's just different.
Yeah.
It's just different. Like, someone who's feeling suicidal and you tell them don't feel that way because there's still people who love you here.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because it was me. I was battling a darkness inside of me that hated myself. I started growing self-hate. I hated myself. I hated the way that I felt. I hated some of the decisions I did in my past. And I started thinking, like, maybe I was such a bad person that I didn't deserve a baby. That's what happened. Like, I was trying to figure out the puzzle piece. Like, oh, I know what happened. Like, the doctor said it happens naturally. No. It's because I'm a bad person. I wouldn't have not made a fit mom.
Man, the devil, man.
Yeah. I was like, it's not because of that. Like, it's because of my mistakes that I did in the past. It's because I am a bad person. It's because I'm not worthy. I'm not enough. Like, that's what happened. Not the doctor saying it happens naturally. No, 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 no. It's me. I'm the problem.
How long were you in this
Oh,
depression?
gosh. It felt like an eternity, but it was, after that one, it was a couple months. But because I got pregnant again the third time. 2 months. Every 2 months I got pregnant. So I had 3 miscarriages. I had another miscarriage the third time. But by that miscarriage, I didn't even care. Like, it was so, I was numb. I felt like when I got pregnant the third time, I was like, oh, this is just going to fall out.
You were so disconnected and emotionally, like...
Oh, 100%.
Can you scoot more a little
this
bit?
Way?
Or, like, yeah, just your body. You're perfect.
I just was numb. I was like, like this, it's fine. And so when I miscarried the third time, the doctors wanted to run tests, and I said no. I was like, no, I don't want to run anything. It's fine. They're like, well, we can find out like the problem. Maybe like they're like, we can go deeper in. If you really want to have a kid, we can start doing some treatments and stuff. I was like, no, I'm okay.
Wow.
Like, I just went in there like nothing. Like, I didn't cry. I just said...
You were just numb.
I was numb. I was like, I even went by myself. I didn't even tell, like...
He didn't know?
He knew, but he didn't know when I went in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally...
You were just going through the motions.
I was like, hey, I'm pregnant, but I'm probably going to miscarry, which I did. That's... Yeah, it was nuts. And even him, he felt so disconnected to the whole situation too. Like, I felt like he was so used to my miscarries that we both felt the same thing, but we never talked to each other about it, you know? And I went in and I told her, I was like, no, I'm fine. Like, am I good to go? Like, do you guys need anything else? And he was just like, oh, no. And then he said, no, like, we have people you can talk to. I was like, oh, I'm fine. I was like, it's fine. Like...
I'm sorry, it's not funny.
No, I know. I was like, I don't want to talk to...
It's fine. It's like the meme, everything's like burning down around it. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Exactly.
Like, what are you talking about?
Like, what do you mean I'm fine. Everything's fine. And he was like, oh, okay.
Dude.
And I told him,
us
I was like...
humans are so self-deceptive. It's crazy.
Yes. And I told him, I was like, do you need anything else from me? And he was like...
No, I'm like, he's probably like, oh my god, you gotta keep an eye on this girl.
No, I was like, okay, like, I just need the paperwork to leave. Like, can you rush this? I think I gotta go somewhere. Like, taking too long.
Yeah.
And from there, like, that was it. I didn't, and it kind of makes me so sad because I literally, I just went. All I did was just go to work, and then I would go home, and just lay in my bed, and do self-destruct. I would, like, tell myself, you're not worthy enough. And I would say, even, like, you know, like, my husband, I'll be like, oh, even he knows you're not good enough. I was literally telling, like, the enemy, now that it's not even telling myself, the enemy was literally probably right there screaming all of this to me. And I was just laying there and taking it like, yes, you're right. Yes, I'm not worthy. Yes. I even said, oh, my husband, we need to not be together. He needs to find someone who will be a mom to his kids. Because obviously I can't have kids. I'm broken. And I said that over and over again. I'm broken. There's no way. There's no one who will love me. I can't bear children. I shouldn't even have, like, friends right now. Like, no, this is it. Like, I just kept saying to myself, like, why should people love you? Why do you think you're done. You are broken goods. Like, that's it. What are you going to do? Just go to work?
That's literally everything you're saying is that's how Satan talks to you. Yeah. Talks to us.
Exactly.
It's a lot of times it's not us. It's literally Satan, and we're just coming to agreement with what he's saying.
And I'm just, like, laying there like, I'm not worthy. I need to get out of here. Why am I here? I should just, like, I need to get rid of myself right now. I'm just, like, just one less person to leave this world. That's it. That's like, I don't need to be here. what? Like, I'm not going to have a career. Like, I was just, like, saying all this stuff. Obviously, I can't have kids, so I can't do that either.
How long ago was this?
2017. 2017.
So you didn't have a kid until 2022? 2021?
Actually, so this was happening, like, from, like, July. So this is 2017. So from, like, July to, like, November, or, like, July to, like, August. No, September. August, September, because I found out I was pregnant in November.
The fourth time?
The fourth time. Fourth time.
Miscarriage again?
No.
Oh.
So, and that's when I'm telling you, like...
Oh, yeah, because you have a daughter.
Yeah, I have a daughter. So when I found out I was pregnant, again, I was still numb. And I, like, again, like I said, oh, I'm just gonna, the thing is, I don't even think I told my husband till, like, after, because I never passed the 7th week mark. With all of the pregnancies, around 7 to 8 weeks, I'd bleed. So then, when I got pregnant the 4th time, I remember that day so clearly when I found out. I woke up and as a woman, you feel it. Like, especially I got pregnant like 3 times. I was like, oh, I know when I'm pregnant. It's weird.
I think you got it down now.
I was like, oh, I'm pregnant for sure. And then I went to go, like, take the pregnancy test. And I was like, oh, here's number 4. Like, I was so numb, girl. Like, you have no idea. I'm like...
I feel like your body has to do that. Your mind has to do that to yourself too. Like a self-defense mechanism.
Yep.
To protect yourself from, like, heartbreak.
Yeah, 100. I was like, well, here it is. And then I was like, eh. Like, I was just like, literally the trash can was right there, and I just, like, threw away the thing.
You didn't tell your husband until...
I didn't tell my husband yet, because I was like, I'm just going to miscarry. Why am I going to tell him? And I'm just going to miscarry after, like, 7 weeks. It's fine. And I did. I waited after. So it was like the 7th week, still nothing. And then I hit the 8th week, and still nothing. So then 8 week going to 9 week, I was like, I took the pregnancy test again, and I was still pregnant. And I'm like, what? I was like, this is weird. That's what I was like. Wow. I thought it was weird that I wasn't miscarrying. I didn't think it was weird that I was pregnant. I thought it was weird that I haven't miscarried yet. I'm like, hello.
Right.
Like, it's like,
wow.
I was like, I felt so weird, because I was just like, kind of like knocking on my own tummy, like, are you gonna come out yet? You know what I mean? Like
that's what you were expecting.
Yeah,
that's where your mind was at, because that's what you were been used to.
Yes, 100%.
For 3 times.
3 times. And so then I went to I went to the hospital. So they already checked. So they did the pregnancy test on me. So that's what they do. Like, you go in, they check if you're pregnant, and then they put you in the system for your appointments. And so I did. I went up. They were like, oh, yeah, you're pregnant. Congratulations. And I'm just, like, rolling my eyes in my head. I'm like, thanks. You know what I mean? I'm like, don't congratulate me. It's probably going to miscarry anyways. And then so they gave me, like, my first appointment to check on the baby. But because it was, like, holidays, because it was, like, November, December, I don't know if it was just during that time or they were just so busy, but they kept changing my appointment. My, like, appointment for, like, my first trimester appointment. And I didn't get an appointment till going 2nd trimester. So
I was really trying to, like, make sure you had faith and trust in him.
I was living in, like, is there a baby in there? Or I don't know what's happening. I didn't know. I was like...
Because the baby's not moving by this point yet, so you have no idea.
Exactly. I don't know. It's like, am I pregnant? I don't know. So I kept taking... Wow. I lived at the Dollar Tree during the time, because I took, like, 100 pregnancy tests.
Wow.
Just to check if I was still pregnant, because I was like, I don't know how else to check. And even, like, my husband at the time, like, oh, like, so you're still good? And I'm like, I guess. I haven't bled. But what's crazy is that I had an appointment, I think, in December. And then they said, oh, the doctors aren't available. You're going to have to push it. They pushed my appointment 3 times. 3 times. And I'm like, I miscarried. I just want to know if I'm pregnant or not, because Like, I don't know what to do. And all they said, oh no, you should be fine. Like, if something happens, yeah, go to the ER. But for right now, the only advice they gave me was just take your prenatals. Take your prenatals. And I'm like, what kind of advice is that? I'm like, geez. Like, okay. And I'm over here, like, I think my anxiety just heightened during that time. Because I'm like, I was so scared to go to the restroom. Because every time I went to the restroom when I bled.
Yeah.
So I was living in fear of going to the bathroom. I didn't want to go to the restroom. Like, I was like, oh, if I go to the restroom, I might bleed and then it's going to be trauma.
Yeah.
And the more weeks that, like, started going by, I was like, and what's crazy is that I still haven't talked to God yet. I didn't talk to him yet. I was like, well, this is weird. Like, all of a sudden I'm pregnant and it's, like, not coming out or whatever. Yeah. And then I got my first appointment, second trimester. Baby was...
Wait, you didn't go to your appointment till second trimester?
13 weeks.
The Lord's like, I want to test your faith.
For real. 13 weeks. My husband came with me that day and everything because we're going to see the ultrasound. And I was like, okay. And so I went in, laid down on the table, and they're just, the doctors just talking to me like, oh, so, but what triggered me is she's like, oh, so this is your 4th pregnancy? They keep track of your miscarriages too, and they count that as pregnancies. And they're like, oh, this is your 4th pregnancy. And in my head, I'm like, girl, yeah, the other ones died. Like, I'm over here so numb. I'm like, yeah, the other ones just died. Like, that's how I talked. And she's like, oh, okay. I think she got scared. She's like, oh, okay. Well, let's go check, how the baby is. And I'm like, okay. Like, like, numb. And she's like, okay, so since this is, like, 14 weeks, we're not going to do, like, the vaginal. Vaginal. I'm such an esthetician. Oh, my God. And she's like, we're going to do the actual tummy. And, me not showing, I'm like, oh, there's probably not going to be anything in there, And so I just, like, I wasn't even looking at the screen. I was just, like, looking up, and I was just, like, and he was just standing there, too, and I was just, like, waiting for it to get over. I was waiting for her to say, oh, no, there's nothing there,
Like it was a wrong pregnancy test.
Yeah, like, I was just waiting for it. I was just, like, laying there looking up, and I'm like, just gonna wait for her to say.
Get it over with so we
just
can move on. Yeah.
And she was like, oh, there it is. And it was the perfect image, the perfect shape, like the baby's face, because it's 14 weeks. So that baby is like, it's a baby. It's not like scary alien looking like. It's like, wow. Like everything. And then when she said that, I turned my head and my eyes started crying. And I was like, wait, what? And she was just like, yeah, right there. I was like, there's a baby. Oh, and then it was hyper. Like, look at, like, she's tossing.
Leaping
like, she's
with the
like,
Spirit of God.
Yeah, like spinning and spinning. She's like, oh, active baby. And then she's like, oh, we want to listen to the heartbeat. And I'm like, what?
That's when it's over.
Yeah. When you start. Like, okay. And then I heard it. And she was just like, congratulations. She's like, she didn't say she said like, the baby's perfect, growing perfectly and everything. And even his face like lit up. He was like, whoa. And I was like, we just stayed quiet. We were like in complete shock. Cause I was like I'm having a baby. Like the baby's there. The baby held on. Wait, what? Like I was so... Like, she printed out so much pictures, too. Because I was in disbelief. She was just like, and then she was like, like, I understand, like, you had miscarriages, so we're going to put this as a high-risk pregnancy because of your past miscarriages. And she was just like, so you'll be getting checked, like, once a week. And I'm like, oh.
That's good.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. And then she was just like, just, eat good and all of that stuff. But, yeah, like, there it is. And I was like, and I didn't even know like the sex yet. I didn't know if it was boy or girl. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm having a baby. And that like changed it. But again, I felt so ashamed of how I felt towards God that I was too scared to even talk to him. because of all the things that I said. All the things that I was like kind of like not yelling out but saying out loud, like, well, you're not real.
Yeah.
Well, who did I even pray to? You know what I mean? Like all the things, like I just felt so convicted in my heart that, are you kidding me? Like I don't even know how to approach him right now.
Right.
I didn't know how to like talk to him. Yeah. It's kind of like you had a really bad argument with like your like parent, your father or something, or even your friend, and you left it on bad terms. So
it's
how do
so
you
like awkward, and like you don't even know how to
approach that? Yeah. Like how do you even like kind of like apologize? You know, like how do I apologize to Jesus for what I said to him? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I felt so ashamed. Like I was like, oh my goodness, like so does he even want to talk to me? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't want to talk to myself with the things that I said towards him. You know? And I still stayed in silent. I still hid. I was so good at like walking away from him and hiding that I wanted to stay hidden, which is crazy because obviously he's around you no matter what. Yeah. You can't hide from God. Yeah. You can't hide from him.
Yeah, you can turn your face away from him, but
yeah, you can walk away, but you cannot hide from him. Yeah. And I'm like, how do I do this? So then I ended up finding like the gender a week after that. And
oh wow.
I was having a girl and I was like, it's a girl, like I don't even know, and everything just started changing for me, and I just was like, I ended up going to church again. So after I found out the gender, I think it was like a Friday or Saturday, I actually went back to church that day, and the next day on that Sunday, and I just felt so weird, dude. It felt so weird, like, you know, I've been to like Water of Life, it's like right when you walk in, that AC, you feel like you get hit with the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean?
Hey, honestly, it's the AC and the Spirit, but I know exactly what you're talking about. You're like, you get hit.
You get hit. Yeah. Like, you walk in those doors and it's like, whoo.
No, 100%. Like,
and I was just walking in and I just felt like, oh, like I felt so sad. I felt so sad because not only did I feel like ashamed, like, okay, like I turned my back on this, I turned my back on him. I said some really harsh things towards him. I said I don't believe in him anymore. I said I'm so mad at him. Like, but it was so confusing because how can I be mad at someone I don't believe in? But then I kept saying I'm so mad at you. But then I kept saying, but I don't even believe in you. But I'm so mad at you at the same time. Yeah. So it's like in my heart, even though I said I didn't believe in him, I knew I believed in him. I think that's why I was so mad at him. Right. You know? And when I walked in for the first time after like going through my phase of being angry, worship, man. Worship is where I bawled. Yeah. I cried and I looked like crazy. And I was just crying and like,
I don't know what they put in the air during worship, but
it's different.
Water of Life, you be wilding with that worship. I still
cry. You know, that I think that's why like I love crying during worship, because till this day, no matter what, I still cry. I still cry when I'm in worship, but that day when I cried, I just felt so like sorry, but I still didn't say it. I still didn't say it. Yeah. Not that I didn't like want to say it, and not that I had pride, but I was scared to say it.
Do you feel like the words were like not coming out?
Yes.
Or like you wanted to, but you just couldn't?
Yeah. Like I just felt like so. I felt so sad that, you know, someone that I should have turned to, I blamed. I blamed him for my hurt, you know? And I was so mad at like Jesus so much that now that he blessed me with a beautiful girl, how do I say thank you when I haven't even said sorry to what I, like, how I was.
Yeah, it's really good.
And I just felt so sad. Like, I just remember crying. And what's crazy is that even though I didn't say it out loud, I did say it in my head. And, like, knowing now that he knows how I felt, like, he knew that I was sorry. It's just crazy to me. But, you know, fast forward to, you know, I had my daughter, and then I wanted to do more. Once I held my, like, daughter in my, like, hands and everything, and I just saw her and I gave birth to her and all of that, I'm like, wow, she's so perfect. She's so perfect. Like, this is crazy. Like, how, like, now he actually, it's so hard to believe that I went through all those miscarriages, and then I'm holding this little girl in my hands after I just did all this self, like, hatred and self-sabotage toward myself, saying I wasn't enough, you know? And then once I had, like, my daughter and I had her in my hands, and then I entered, like, the mom era, I was like, I finally feel enough. Why do I feel this way? Like, why do I feel enough? Like, I'm enough to someone. And it's this perfect, beautiful little girl.
Yeah.
She made me feel enough.
Yeah.
No one else did, you know? Not, like, I didn't need to prove myself to anyone else because I had this perfect newborn in my hand, like, in my arms. And in her eyes, though she probably didn't, I was blurry at that time, but I was enough to this little girl, you know what I mean? And I felt it.
Yeah.
And so that was it. I was like, I finally, after, when I was holding her, I had one night, because at that time my husband was working graveyard, so I was, like, by myself with her at night, and I was just look at her, and then I prayed and I said, you know, I don't I don't know if you heard me what I said, like,
No.
a couple months ago, or, like, a year ago, but, like, I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know
Your plan.
what was I saying, or I was so hurt and I was so mad, and I'm in disbelief that you blessed me with this. Like, you blessed me tenfold. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I was like, I don't know if you hear me, or if you even want to hear me. But I'm sorry, you know. And apologizing to Jesus just hits so hard. It hits so hard. It's like, I'm sorry. Like, I said some things, and I don't know if, like, and I think it hurt me to know, like, it hurt him, because probably he knew that I was in pain, and he felt the pain that I was in. But I just strayed away from him instead of letting him comfort me.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have the faith of, like, letting him know that it's okay, you're going to be okay, that I have bigger plans for you, and right now is not the time.
Yeah.
And I realized that I was on my own timeline and not on his timeline.
Yeah.
I was doing things on my own.
Yeah.
I was trying to get pregnant on my own.
Right.
Rather than trusting him and letting him lead and letting him guide me into the way that he has, like, plans set in stone for me. I didn't trust his plan. Yeah. I said, your plan isn't, like, I don't want your plan. I want to get pregnant right now.
I want my plan.
I want my baby right now.
Yeah.
And you're going to give me my baby right now. You know, like, that's what it was. Like, I was like, you better, like, save this baby because I want this baby right now. Like, do it, you know, rather than trusting him.
Like, God, what is it that you want? And surrendering that he's going to give you what you need.
Exactly. Like, instead of, like, doing it a whole different way of, like, saying, like, okay, Lord, maybe right now is not the time, and, like, I'm just going to trust in you. No. I said, well, fine. You don't want to give me my baby. Well, I'm not going to follow you anymore.
Yeah. Well, you're not real then.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not going to trust you anymore. I don't want to follow you anymore. And you don't want my plan, then fine. Then I don't want yours either, And it should have not been that way.
Yeah.
Had I known, like, what his plan was for me set in stone, now looking back, it's like, dang, like, I understand, like, I understood it all. Like, now when I see it, I'm like, oh. Like, now I live my life knowing, like, it's always like that's why.
It's always going to be like that.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, so I think that we need those in our lives. Yes. Like, we need to get checked like that. Because without those ohs, we wouldn't appreciate God and his, and how he does things. And we wouldn't know him, like, real life experiencing his characteristics without those moments. Yeah. So I'm glad he allows things to happen. And we have our free will, because that's like, he's like, all right, I'll let you could say those things. You could walk away from me, but I already know.
You could be mad at me. You could be angry at me. It's okay.
That is a definition of reckless love. Like, that song is so.
Girl, that song, like, I had it on repeat. You ever have, like, your favorite worship song and you sing it, you, like, hear it every single, like, for a good week?
Yeah.
I have those.
Yeah, of course.
I think this week is, like, Christ be magnified. Next week, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. So I apologized to him then. But I think because I was going through, so I still, like, had, like, past hurt and stuff. And I was still kind of still going through my, like, shame and, like, feeling like, oh man, like, I really got in my head. I was like, oh hey man, he must really think, like, he might be mad at me. Like, I literally told this dude, you is not real. You is not real. Like, no. Like, And I was like, I said so much stuff, like, maybe, like, I don't know. But I fast forward, I got married to now my husband, my high school sweetheart, and then everything was good. So 2021, I decided to buy a Bible. I never owned a Bible. Now that I think about it, I grew up in a Christian household, yet I only had, like, I had, like, those Bibles, like those are, like, hardcore King James ones, but it was just, like, the word, like, it's so tiny. Like, how can you read that, you know?
And if it's not New King James Version, regular King James it's kind of a rough read.
It's super rough. Like, thy what? Like, what is thy?
Thy, thou, who, huh?
Thy, thou, like, I'm like, I don't understand this. And it was like, I had those books, and the pages are yellow now. Like, there's, like, those old ones. So, and I never read it. So then I decided, okay, I'm going to buy a Bible. I'm going to start there. I'm going to build back that relationship that I probably never had, but I want. So I'm going to go buy myself a Bible. And then I did. I got my first Bible 2021 in January of that year. That was my New Year's resolution. I was like, I'm going to start this year off by reading the Bible.
Yeah.
I started Old Testament and I got scared. I was like, what?
You're like, hold up, what? Dude, that was me. I was like, Genesis. Huh? I was like, and I'm closing the Bible.
Same. I, like, started at, so, like, I started reading. I was just like, this person was with who and who and who? What?
Wait, she turned around and then she turned into a pillar of salt?
Yes! No! Or, like, he said to, there was that one story in the Old Testament that I have, like, since then I started reading the New Testament, but, like, that time during the Old Testament where it's like, she couldn't have kids, so, like, she said, oh, use my maid and you can have kids. I was like, what? I would.
Scandalous.
Yes, I was like, I would never.
It's crazy.
I told you I was, like, really protected in high school, so I'm like, girl.
Yeah, no,
she used her maid as a
wildin'.
And I was like, dang. And then he had who and who wives? I don't know about this. And then I was like, and then I was like, Lord?
Hold on.
I'm kind of confused.
I thought you said it was between 1 and 2.
That's what I said. I was like, why does he have, like, how many wives?
Yeah.
I don't understand this.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know about this. And so, again, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna close this. Put it aside because
it's a lot.
I don't know. This is weird. So I started getting convicted towards the Bible. I was just like, that's weird.
Yeah.
I was like, what? And then I was like, okay. So then I Googled. I was like, where should I start first? Because
clearly it's not the Old Testament.
No, it's not. I was like, this is not a regular book.
That's so
You know what I mean? You don't start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Even though it says in the beginning, you don't start in the beginning. No. I was just like, in the beginning, be wild in. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Did it take you to John?
Yeah, it took me to, so it said John, but then it said start New Testament.
Yeah.
And I did read a bit of John. So when I started reading the Bible, I was like kind of hopping. Like I was just like, okay, I'm going to hop John to Matthew to actually, I was like, I'm going to go to Revelation.
Okay. So Old Testament wasn't enough. Wild. And let's just go to the craziest one in the Bible.
I was just like, what's going to happen at the end? Yeah, you know what I mean? And because this is 2021. A lot of that year was crazy.
So you really were like, okay, what is going on in the world, and are we headed right there?
Yes, that gave me an eye opener. I was just like, all right, I need to know the big, like the end.
Yeah, keep the end in mind, baby.
Yes, because like it's weird because I grew up Christian, but I felt like I was a new believer.
Wow,
I truly felt like I was a new believer. And I was like, all right, so what's going to happen? And then, like as a new believer, you see all these like people like saying, oh, the world's ending this year. I'm like, oh, let me read the end then. Yeah. Like, what's going to happen? Okay. I was like, oh man. And then I read like parts of Revelation. I'm like, oh, I'm too scared. Okay.
Let me go back to John.
I'm over here like flipping through pages. I'm like, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. And then I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to read like the whole like New Testament. But I will say, because like I did feel like I was barely starting to get into my word, I wasn't always consistent. Like I would read it and then I'd probably be closed like for reals, maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Go to church, go back. Sometimes like I would open it to whatever like they're on during like the series or whatever, like what series they were doing. That's what I would be reading too.
Yeah.
But I wasn't so consistent. I wasn't. And then I got pregnant with my son. So then I got pregnant with my son, and I don't know what happened, but I got prenatal depression. But
really?
Yeah. And
I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't know it was a thing until I had it, girl.
Wow.
I was like, why am I sad? But my doctor told me. I was like, oh, you might be going through, and this was first trimester. She's like, you might be going through some prenatal depression. They said sometimes it happens, usually with your second or third, but it should go, if it doesn't go away going to the second trimester, they're going to medicate.
I just want to take a brief moment to share with you a ministry that I have personally partnered up with, and I want to give you guys the same opportunity. If you're listening to this video, watching this video, most likely you and I both have 100% access to clean water in some way, shape, or form. Unfortunately, that's not the reality for a lot of people. I just want to give you a quick fact. It's estimated that anywhere between 4 and 5 million children die from dehydration every year around the world. Pastor Sean, a good friend of mine, has created a ministry called the Genesis Foundation, where not only are they meeting the needs of people that are in need of water, but they're also giving and sharing the word of God. And so they have created this ministry where they build systems, water wells, where before these families would have to walk miles and miles for access to water. And it's not clean water most of the time. It's actually dangerous water. And so with that being said, the Genesis Foundation now gives them access to a system, a well system, a opportunity to be able to get clean water for a lifetime there in their villages. And not only that, but they're sharing the gospel, they're sharing the good news and leading people to salvation, leading them through baptisms. It's a beautiful ministry. And so it is based out in Pakistan. They focus there and the villages around the surrounding area. But this is such a beautiful ministry to partner up with. Feel free to visit the website and also reach out to Pastor Sean. He has an Instagram and Facebook, which we'll link in the show notes. And he would love to connect with you. He loves giving you updates so you are aware that your funds aren't just going to a random link or a random website. It's actually impacting people. It's actually impacting people's hydration and their spiritual hydration, so they will never ever thirst again.
okay, but I didn't want that because I'm like, oh, I'm pregnant. I was like, I don't want to get medicated. But I think because I was going to cosmetology school, I stopped because I got pregnant. And I was like, oh, I can't be pregnant and go to school at the same time. In my mindset.
Wait, so you think that kind of affected your depression?
Yeah, because he was not planned.
Okay.
He wasn't planned at all. And, 2021 was just crazy. With the whole, everything that was happening during that year. I just felt like, like irritated. And so I was telling her, and also like I got scared because I felt like what had happened with the miscarriages. And then like my pregnancy with my first one was like I always went to the hospital once a week. And so with this one, I wasn't going. So I was like on like fear mode, like what if something happens to the baby? I'm only going to the hospital like once every, because of like that time they didn't really see.
Right, yeah.
I felt like with my first pregnancy it was cool, but with my second one, like I felt like the hospital wasn't as like comforting and caring. It was kind of like in and out,
yeah. 100%, yeah.
And so it just made me go in fear mode, like, oh, I don't, like, no one is giving me that cater that I need to know that my baby is okay.
Yeah.
And so I was telling the doctor, like, I feel really sad. I feel like really, like, I feel like I was going in, I felt like I was going in trying to do like a career path, and now it's on pause.
Yeah.
Because I was going to cosmetology school and it was on pause for a whole year because of, COVID.
A lot of detours.
Yeah. And so I was like, what is happening? I'm finally going to do what I want to do. Because when I had like my daughter, I started doing lash business. I wanted to build my own business for her. I named my business after her.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I want to do more. I'm going to go to cosmetology school and I'm going to make sure I make my business like even more like better, all for her. And then it got on hold like 2 or 3 times. And I got mad because like the first time it was because of COVID. And then second time, like we went in, they paused again because they said, oh, we can't have people again. So they just kept pausing my like cosmetology. And I was like, oh, like I was getting irritated because I'm over here like, I have a plan.
Yeah.
Again, I had a set plan and it's not happening. And then I got pregnant. And I'm like, oh, I was like mad again. And I'm like, why is this happening to me? And I wasn't prepared for like I knew what I was doing, but I was like, it could have happened, but I didn't think it would actually happen.
Right.
And I got pregnant and I was like, oh man. And I was like, dang, I was supposed to finish cosmetology school.
Right.
Now it's going to put me back to me 2 years because I give myself like I want to make sure his first year I'm there and stuff. So I'm putting myself 2 years back, and I'm like, dang. And I fell into like it's weird to say, but like I started getting in my head again. Like, oh no, like nothing's going as planned. I'm not gonna be able to do this and do this for my daughter, for my family. Like I had this plan set in stone, and so much was happening and it's not letting me go. And I started getting into my head again, and I started getting depressed. And then I was like, oh no, and then now I'm gonna have 2, and then I don't know how I'm supposed to juggle that, and I'm gonna have to put my business kind of like aside for a while. And I'm like, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me again? And so I started getting into like my like depressive episode again, and I knew it was because it's kind of like like when you start feeling that way after like knowing that you went through a lot of like depression, you start to know, and you're like, no. And I got scared. I was like, no, I don't want to be thinking that. I don't want to be depressed. I was like, I don't want my daughter to see me that way. And now I'm gonna have a son. I don't want him to also feel like his mom like sad. Like I'm not sad that I'm having him. I'm happy I'm having him, but I had all these plans at the same time, And I didn't want, I just felt like, oh no, like I hope I don't get back into my head of feeling sad and depressed, because when that happens, I wasn't a good person when I was like during that. And my thing is, I don't want my daughter to see that. I can't. I refuse. So I was battling that part of me that was trying to come back out.
Right.
And I felt like the enemy was like, wait. like here it is, like, you know, like he already kind of saw me getting into that mindset, and it started getting louder. And he's like, oh yeah, just quit your job, quit lashing, quit doing all this, you're never gonna finish cosmetology school, you're never gonna do this. And I was like, dang, I'm never gonna do it. And like it happened again. And I was like, why do I? And I was like, oh, I'm weak, I feel so weak again. Like I was so strong with like, okay, I had my daughter, I'm doing it, I got married, I'm doing all these things. And then all of a sudden I got it into my head, and I started feeling that weak Josie come back in. And I was like, okay, so fast forward, I had my son, and I was fine. So the doctor didn't medicate me because I was like, I kind of told her, oh no, I'm fine. Like I don't want to be medicated. I'll just push through. It's okay. And she was like, oh, okay. Are you sure? I was like, yeah. I'm fine. And so I had my son, and I wouldn't say like I had postpartum depression, because it wasn't anything towards my kids. It was just towards myself again.
Yeah.
Because I felt like, oh no, like I'm getting into my head about being depressed, and I refuse to see my kids like that. So the thing is like I was depressed, but you couldn't see it.
You're functioning depressive.
Yeah. Like it was in my head, but I was quiet.
Yeah.
And the one person that did started noticing it was my husband. Like it wasn't that I was crying, it wasn't that I was sad, but he knew I wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And so he started notice, and I stopped reading my Bible. Like I literally just read parts of it, and I never read the whole thing. And so he said, hey, like one morning he was like, hey, let's go to church. Because I think I stopped going to church for a little bit too. And he said, hey, let's go to church. And I was like, no, it's okay. Like we could watch it at home. I started watching it at home a lot. I didn't want to physically go. I just wanted to do online. And he was like, let's go. Like, I want to go. And I'm like, okay, like, let's go. And so we went. And again, that Holy Spirit AC, man. I'm like, oh, man.
Water of life.
Not again. And then I cried again during worship. And I was just like, Lord, like, I don't know what you want me to do. And I don't know what to do. But help me. Because my kids need me. My kids need me, and I don't want them to feel my hurt or my depressed or anything. Yeah, I don't want them to feel that.
Yeah.
So please, like, what do you need me to do? What do I need to do? The first thing, like, I don't know if it was like pastor, I don't know. I think it was a guest speaker, but the first thing he said was like, you need to read your Bible. You need to get into the Word. How are you gonna know Jesus if you're not in the Word? And I'm like, oh man, I need to do that, because I'm like, when the way that I read it before that, it was just part scriptures, like, oh, you know, like
hopped around.
I never really read everything. Yeah. Yes, and I was like, I never really read anything. I just read bits and pieces, or you know, when you like see like signs and stuff, you're like, oh, let me highlight that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You go back to that scripture, but I never really read it. And so, my sister, she had like this book from Daily Grace Co. And it was for depression. And she was like, oh, maybe you should try it or like read it, and I'll help you like read the Bible or whatever. And I was like, okay. So then I knew that I couldn't really read it like at home. I felt like when I was home, so much stuff was so distracting. I could never really get into it. And so I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I'm just going to start going to, like, the coffee shop. I'll go to the coffee shop, and then I'll start reading my Bible there. And I started doing that, like, that series. And it literally said, like, depression, how to get through depression, or through scripture. And that book changed everything from me. Because I did not know, when I started reading the Bible, I did not know that the people in there were also depressed. People in there also went through anxiety. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I only knew like Noah and Moses and all of that. Like, it's good to see them.
Yeah. They were all mighty and powerful, and God was using them. Yeah,
right? And I was like, but there's like Jonah. He was like, he had anxiety. He had depression and all of that stuff. You know, like, I was like, I had no idea. Like, he was scared from God, so he ran away from God. So I was like, oh, man, that's me.
Yeah.
That is me. I named my son Jonah.
Oh.
Had I not really known why I named him Jonah.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't know. And I was just like, wait, that was me. I ran away. Me and my husband ran away. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, wait, this is so cool. And like, that was it. Like, I was like, all right. So then I started reading from like starting the New Testament. I started from the beginning. I'm not done with it, but like I'm like on Second Timothy. But I was just like going in, and it was funny because in the beginning, like, I didn't, Jesus talks in parables. So I'm like, huh? I'm like, what?
Jesus, why you gotta be so? Just tell me. Can you just explain it?
Like,
and that's how the disciples were like, Jesus, what are you talking about?
Exactly. I'm like, say what? What do you mean? So you see like my notes in like the beginning, like Matthew, John, and all of that. I have question marks all over, like question mark.
Mm-hmm.
I think I even put or like get back to this.
Yeah.
Like reread this part, and I'm like, oh man. And then I started getting into like Romans and all of that, and then I just like, like basically everything that he does is for our good. Like no matter what. No matter what, it's for us. It's for our. Nothing is bad.
Yeah.
Nothing is bad. If it's from God, it's good.
Yeah.
It's for our greater good. He only does things for us. That's good. Even if we think it's bad.
Yeah.
It's not. It's for good. So then that's when I was like, oh, that's when the whole like,
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. That's why I went through like my miscarriages. That's why I did that's why like I didn't finish cosmetology school. And then I was just hands on in my Bible. I was just like, okay, like I just want to. It started becoming like I just wanted to read more and more and more. And then I got to this is where it's like, okay, it changed. That's where it changed for me, is when I got to like Second Corinthians. And I wish that had I known that part way back when, that probably would have saved me a lot of heartache. But it's fine because I did have to go through all that heartache for me to get to that point.
Even appreciate Second Corinthians.
Yes. And so I wanted to read that part because that was like the part where it literally got to me. And I was like, man. And so it's Second Corinthians 12, 8 through 10. 3 different times I begged the Lord to take it away. Each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Christ can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I'm weak, then I am strong. And I was like, wait, weakness is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
thing, yeah.
And I needed to be weak. I needed to go through all of that. I needed to be in that darkness so he can be the light of my life.
Right.
And had I not gone through that, I probably wouldn't be here right now. Mm-hmm. I probably would have continued to go down a dark path. I probably wouldn't have not shared or want to share that he is a healer and he saves. And he saved me. He saved my relationships. He saved everything that I needed to be saved from. He saved me from myself.
Right.
Because I was self-destructing.
Yeah.
And had I not gone through, I appreciate that. I needed to go through that. I needed to go through that to grow up. I needed to get through all of that heartache and all of the hurt. And I needed all those dark nights, those dark days, me being alone. He needed me to be alone.
He needed you to be alone.
I needed to be alone in order for him to be there in my life
and to grow our understanding of our dependency of him. Like, we need to depend on him. There's nothing we can do, nothing anybody else can do.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. He was the one that I needed. And the thing is, I needed to know him. I needed to build a relationship with him. I needed more than Jesus loves you and he died for your sins.
Yeah, full circle.
I needed that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
needed to open my Bible, get to know the guy, and understand. I needed to understand. Like,
yes.
This whole, no, I need more than that.
Yeah, we all do. Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I know for a fact, he knows I need reassurance as well. And it's the funniest thing ever because the way Jesus works, he always, every time I feel like I'm on a fishing thing where it's every time I'm starting to wheel away, he's like, "Where are you going?
Yeah,
Come back in."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, and I'm like, "Oh, my bad."
Yeah.
And it could be the randomest things. Every time I feel like, "Oh, here I go again." All of a sudden, I'm driving and then I see a cross. If I'm in my head, I see a cross.
Yeah.
Or if I'm around one of my friends and same thing, that I'm just like, "Oh, I'm feeling this way." And you're like, "Well, Jesus loves you." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you're right."
Dude.
He reassures me every single time.
It's actually trippy. There was one time
so crazy.
where I was on the 210 and I was just so conflicted about a decision that I had to make. Well, I had made it already, but I just was like, oh, did I mess up? Did I mess up? And I'm like, God, la, la, la. And I get off the 210 and I'm at the stoplight and the car in front of me says, "This is the right way." Come on. Right in front.
Exactly.
And I was like, okay.
Exactly that. All
right.
It's so trippy.
Got it.
It's trippy.
Yeah, that's why I have the frame, "This is your sign," because I want anybody to come in here that even they're not a believer, maybe they're getting their brows done with Marlene or whatever, they're getting water. It's if maybe they prayed God, give me a sign, because that's something we all ask sometimes, give me something, are you here, what, can you hear me? It's a bunch of Bible verses and Jesus stuff, and this is your sign, so because God will use it, because he uses so many signs, crosses, it's so trippy.
I there's the one of the songs where it's I need reassurance, it's one of these nice songs, summer, I wish I remember, but I had it on repeat too. It's where I need reassurance sometimes, and he knows that.
He knows that,
and he gives that to me.
That's why he does the signs and wonders when he was here. Mm-hmm. When he did all that, he was like, "I do this because you freaking people need it. You humans need signs and wonders. But imagine the ones that don't even see me, and how much more they're gonna have, because we're just dumb sometimes. We're silly people, we are. And it's." I'm just super grateful. I had no idea about your testimony, your walk or anything like that. So that's just, thank you for sharing it.
Of course.
It's so beautiful to see that now you're leading your kids. You're walking that walk, and it's really exciting to see what your kids are going to become.
I know. Honestly, it's been a whole, and again, I feel when you are on this journey with the Lord, it's not easy. No. Especially because you chose to follow him. Sometimes, you do get a lot of you get conviction. You feel oh no, I'm having anxiety and I shouldn't feel this way. I follow him now. No. You can still have that, but now, even if I worry or if I do have some anxiety, I do give it to him. I never gave it to him before, but now I'm
that's the
Lord,
difference between having Christ as your savior and then just kind of doing life on your own. It's either way, you're gonna have things that come up. You're gonna have trials, tribulation, challenges, and we're humans are gonna feel emotions, but now we get to just give it to him, and his burden is easy, and he takes it away, and he's what my song that's on repeat is Defender. And it's he's our defender.
Yeah,
he goes to fight the war. Yep. He comes back with the head of our enemies, and we didn't even know.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know behind closed doors. So now how I live, his no is not a bad thing. No is not a bad thing. Before I thought no is bad. No is not a bad thing. No just means that his no means, hey, not right now, or no, this is going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Or no, I have something way better that you cannot see it right now, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen for you. But, you know, don't worry. Like, I got you. And now it's like, I don't take no in a bad way. I'm like, if something I need or something I want doesn't happen right away or in the spot, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Like, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. Like
thank you for...
If I needed to go somewhere, he will provide. If I needed to be at a certain place, he will provide. If I don't hear from someone, that's okay. Maybe it wasn't meant to be, like, I wasn't supposed to, like, interact with that person. And, you know, it's like, no is not a bad thing.
It's protection.
It's protection. Yeah. And it took me
yeah.
so long to realize that, because now like, for years, I'm like, why me?
Yeah.
Why did you do this to me? Why is this not happening to me? Why can't I have it happen right now? And now it's like, it's okay. It's not supposed to happen right now, because now, like, I ended up finishing, but I wasn't supposed to do cosmetology. I finished esthetician school. And now I have, like, the business growing, and it's like now it's not, my business is not towards for me, but it's for his glory. You know? I did not know that before. Yeah. I did not know I was starting this. I thought I was starting this business because I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but still making some money. Yeah. And no. He had to kind of, like, he tests me. You know what I mean? Like, but when I went to 2 different schools, when I went to cosmetology school, I planted seeds with girls. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because, you know, a lot of them that I still talk to now, like one of my friends, like, now she knows of Jesus and she never did. And it's like, I understood. So I understood why I needed to be there for a little bit. Right. And then I had to leave. Yeah. And then I went to a whole different school, planted seeds there, met some beautiful women there. And it's like he places you in certain spots and situations that you don't understand, but he needed you there because you are the light that he needs to bring people to go towards him. Right. And I understand now. I'm like, so that's why I needed to go there. So and so needed to, like, know you. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm like, but can't you, like, give me a heads up? Because, like, I was sad. I was like, man, I'm never gonna finish school.
He's like, no, I need you to trust me.
Right. And I'm like, dang. And then it's just like, now it's like, I don't, like, I understand, I live my life, like, having faith in him. And even when I have, like, those days where it is hard, it's okay, because he reassures me, like, hey. Yeah. And then what I did learn is that when I start feeling sad is usually when I don't read my Bible. When I go days without reading my Bible.
Y'all need to save this. We're going to clip this on our Instagram.
When I go days without reading my Bible, I am like...
That's it.
You know that thing that, like, the new trend where it says, oh, I'm not sad.
Yeah, I just needed to.
Yeah, I just needed to read my Bible.
Literally.
Like, that was it. So I was like, it's
God,
true.
Why are you giving me such a hard battle? He's like, literally just open up your Bible and, like, that's all you need to do.
And so when I started doing, like, the coffee Bible stuff, my best friend, she didn't grow up Christian. I don't even think she grew up Catholic or anything, but she was going through a hard time. And then I told her, hey, why don't you come join me at the coffee shop and let's read the Bible together, you know? And she's like, Bible?
When's your next one?
It's once a month. So we do it, like, either in the second Thursday of every month.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm going.
Yes, you need to come. Oh my gosh,
I'm going,
girl.
and I'm going to bring my girls with me.
We transferred from coffee shops to, like, an actual house. Girl, that's a whole different thing. But it was nice because when I started showing or, like, kind of putting out there, like, oh, like, you know, coffee shop date. I say coffee date with Jesus. I like go on that. Coffee dates with Jesus, you know? Because it is kind of hard. I'm not going to lie. It's hard for me to read the Bible at home. Yeah. I need to be focused on him.
Same.
And so I love coffee. So I'm like, okay, like, cheers. Let's, like, have our little coffee date,
Coffee and Jesus. Coffee
exactly.
Date with Jesus.
And
I love that.
It's so fun. Oh my gosh. You have no idea. I love it so much. And my best friend, she became following Jesus too, and then it kind of went from there. And this started like last year, so now we're a year in, and so many women came, and
people are hungry for Jesus. That's what I've learned with this journey recently. Is like people are hungry for a community. People are hungry for just other people, and sometimes people just feel overwhelmed or they don't know where to start. So that's why it's super important to just, like, come together and be like, hey, like, I don't know everything, but let's figure it out together.
Oh, yeah. That's like, literally, that's the first thing I always say is like, I have not been in this for as long. Like, yes, I grew up Christian, but like I said, I barely became like a new believer.
Yeah, like a true, spirit.
Yes,
yeah.
I like, I told I got baptized just last year.
Yeah.
Also, baptism always scared me because like I was like, dang, like for a while, like I knew I wanted to get baptized, but I knew I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to leave the worldly stuff.
Yeah.
And I felt like if I got dipped in that,
yeah, you're like, dang, I for sure can't go back.
Yeah,
I can't go back on my word. It's in front of everybody. The accountability is real.
Amen. I knew it. It was like if I get dunked in that water,
it's over for me. No more twerking. No more hey.
Exactly.
No more Mrs. Booty. Miss Holy. Miss Holy only.
No, I can't. No more my secular music bumping in the car. No, I can't. Like, no way. I'm not going to get dunked in that water. No, I refuse. Right. And then last year I was just like, I'm ready, Lord. Yeah. I am ready to surrender to you. I'm ready to, like, I give up my worldly life.
Yeah.
And, like, because I know him now.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. Yeah.
Had I not known him, I would have not got dunked in that water.
Yeah, you can't just get dunked if you don't know him. You don't know the man.
Because you are surrendering it all. And I was so excited. I was like, yes, like I am ready. I know you. I know why you died for my sins. I don't just hear it. Now I know why you did it. And Lord, thank you so much. I'm ready to go. And you know what? I'm going to say this. That water... Water of Life, when I got dunked last year, that is the best water I have ever been in my life. I don't know.
Was it warm?
That is holy water. I don't know. It was fresh.
Well, it is Water of Life. Shout out.
It is so
if you're looking
fresh.
For a church, Fontana, Baseline, East Avenue, come on.
Girl, when I went in that water and I got out, I was like, that's the freshest water I've ever been in my whole life.
I got baptized in Water of Life, too. I love Water of Life.
The water is just different.
I mean, I'm sure it's holy water.
It's super holy. I felt super cleansed. I was like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Put me back in.
Put me back in. Can I do it again?
Swim. Let me swim a little bit.
Can we come after hours?
I know. I was like, I want to swim in this pool.
Can you imagine a pool party? Like, I wonder if we can rent it out and like have a little barbecue.
Oh, that would be so
cute.
Fun.
I don't think Pastor Dad would like that. But
it's holy water, girl. I know.
Get your ghetto ass.
It happens.
I'm about to get canceled. No.
We're
Pastor Dan would never say that. But that's what I'm saying.
No.
He would never say that, and I'm not saying he would. That was 100% BC Ashley that came out.
We talked about that. We're working on that.
We're working on it.
We're working on that. I still need to.
That's a whole nother topic that I wish we could get into, but we can't. But like maybe you should come back.
Whenever you want me here, I will.
We should come back and because we could talk about like. I did this with my friend Katie. So she came and did her testimony, and then she came back, and then we talked about like things we've been struggling with as we're walking this walk. Because that's one of them was like certain words and music. I'm way better on music. I don't really have the desire for a lot of it. There's just some like music. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
No, that is. I hear you on that.
Yeah, but well, thank you for coming, and this definitely won't be the last. Then
no, and whenever you want me, I will be like.
And so you're esthetician in Rancho, or
yes.
where?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm an esthetician in Rancho, like near Victoria Gardens. I have my own studio over there.
Oh.
5 years of lashing, and then a couple months of facials.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lord, I'm telling you, the Lord is good, man.
Okay, well, we'll put your Instagram and all the deets in the bio or the description thing, and I gotta get. You know what we should do? This is my vision, and then so my viewers can know too. So, like right now, I have like a commercial break, and it's like it's for a ministry, but I also want to start including like my friends' businesses.
Okay.
Like, in the middle of the pod, like, hey, real quick. And, like, you could do, like, a promo of, like, $10 off.
Oh,
I don't know.
I would love that.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
But we would get footage of me doing it first with you.
I'm done.
Duh,
Yes,
like, so it's not like, I'm not just promoting something I don't use or need.
Yes, I agree.
So, anyways, if you guys start seeing me getting facials, mind your business and Make your appointment. All right, bye.
Bye.
Oh, yay. That was so much fun.
That was so beautiful. Oh